and Rosé are only $6.99 a bottle. Bud Light and Coors Light 16-ounce 12-packs are $11.99. Four Roses Yellow Label 750s are just $19.99. Crown in the Purple bags $22.99. And this Saturday from 9 to 3 at the Southside Flea Market, right next to Payless Liquor's East Street location, there's a free COVID vaccination clinic. No appointment needed. More than just your neighborhood liquor store. Open 7 days a week and online at PaylessLiquors.com. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
Hey, it's JMV for your Central Indiana CarX locations, and my man Joe Childers helping you maintain your winter road readiness. Tires, batteries, brakes, oil and fluids, and wheel and alignment, all very important this time of year to make sure your car, truck, or van is maintaining that winter road readiness. 14 Central Indiana locations to serve you. For over 40 years, they've been doing it. For that location nearest you, it's CarX.com today.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's Kevin and Query.
I throw, you catch. It's not that hard, okay? All right, get the out of here.
I'm going to talk a lot about drills and fundamentals.
Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it.
On 93.5
Watch it.
and 107.5.
Boom, baby.
The Fan.
Kevin, I totally 100% jinxed us. I think it might have been Monday or Tuesday, when I let off the show and said, we might, for the final time yesterday, have woken up to sub-freezing temperatures. I went last night and watched a movie at my buddy Dan's house and walked outside and was like, felt like Damone in Fast Times. What the hell happened? Were we expecting like an ice storm last night?
Yeah, I don't know if ice storm. When you did say that earlier in the week, I'm thinking, I mean, there are low temperatures at night. Yeah, but not 15 degrees. Right.
I mean,
well, last night it was. So you drove home, I assume, at that hour. I mean, it was a little bit. I drove home from my in-laws as well a little bit late last night, and it was like a little dicey. Now, for those that are curious about the roads this morning, I thought they were just fine. The side street, to me, looks worse than it really was. I don't know what you encountered. Meridian was clear, and I had no extra time on my commute this morning. But I will say the side streets, at least for me, Jake, it looked a little dicey, but I really didn't feel any, I didn't feel anything under the tires.
It looked to me, I would agree, but there was an ominous shine.
I was waiting for it.
Totally. I was waiting for the slide. Didn't happen. But nonetheless, I would say be careful. And if you're listening to this in your house, you might want to prepare depending on what time you last drove anywhere if your car's outside.
Certainly.
That you might have to scrape it a little bit.
And then what, 60 on Monday? 60 on
That's
Tuesday?
That's what I mean. Like, it's supposed to be, I'm like, wait a minute, where did this come from? Yeah. Surprised me a little bit. Anyway, good morning to you. My name is Jake Query. That is the voice of Kevin Bowen. Josh Molnick's filling in this morning for Mark Dykton, who's exercising part of his 9 weeks of vacation. This is Kevin and Query on a Friday. Kind of a weird time, Kevin, because it's not as dry as Major League Baseball when you have the All-Star break and you're like, well, there's nothing going on. But it does feel like, All-Star weekend, so there's a lot going on in terms of the Rising Stars game and the dunk contest and those kinds of things. But college basketball-wise, we've talked so much about Indiana, Purdue, just not from a headline standpoint as much that happened last night.
Yeah, it is one of the quieter times. And really from an NFL standpoint, it should be a quiet week or two. We'll see if the Colts make a little noise or not. But the NFL Combine will be down there starting, I think, a week from Tuesday. I think the show we're doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's that first week in March. So, again, it's supposed to be a quiet time in the NFL. I feel like every time you say that, it's kind of a bit of a hold your breath. But college basketball, Jake, we do need to shout out the IUPUI Jaguars, their first Division I win of the season.
The IUPUI what?
The Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Josh,
we'll let you. You're the Tennessean. You got a twang to you. How do you say it?
Jaguars.
Okay. You and Matt Taylor, both Wires guys. Is that a Catholic school thing?
Indiana twang there coming out there? That's a South Side and North Side twang coming out there a little bit.
If they were playing the Commanders, would you call that Washington or Washington?
Washington.
Okay, good. Anyway, so as you were with IUPUI,
they beat
and the
Robert
Jaguars.
Morris last night. Their first of it. Josh, do we have the fight song for the Jags? Can you dial us up here? The first Division I win of the year. 6 players, Jake, playing 24 minutes apiece. In all seriousness, you got to give them a shout out.
I mean, on the road too, right?
Yes.
Robert Morris, I think, has only 7 wins on the year, but still, when you go into a game 2-22, you wait longer for a win than we wait for the fight song, right?
Is there an IUPUI fight song?
I thought I heard Josh.
Can you
play
find it,
earlier.
Josh?
Josh is scrambling.
Is that the children's choir?
It's
This is all I could find other than like IUPUI students singing the fight song.
That sounds beautiful to me. Better than the Cincinnati Bengals fight song we were playing.
you notice it was Jaguars when they say it.
I should have heard of that. Yeah. There we go. So they beat Robert Morris last night. Jake, they hit 7 of 8 3-pointers in the second half. We'll have Greg Rakestraw, the play-by-play voice for the Jags, on at 8 o'clock to talk more about the big win. But again, in all seriousness, shout out to Matt Crenshaw. I can only imagine how trying of a season this has been for them. And they do get, I believe they are the last Division I team to win a Division I game this season.
Now, by the way, Robert Morris himself, you knew who he was?
Oh, he's critical in the Colts Super Bowl run.
That's right.
Inserted him in the starting lineup, and all of a sudden, they were stopping the run again. And the BYU product.
Former linebacker, Colts linebacker Rob Morris, the thing I liked about him, he became kind of a whooping boy for fans here. Because when the Colts first started playing, when Tony Dungy came in and kind of changed their defensive scheme, there were a lot of times where kind of the last line of defense in the zone defense they ran was a Rob Morris, or Rob Morris was athletic enough that he would move over and leave his area if somebody else got burnt. And so it would kind of look like he was the one that was out of place when in fact he was going in and having somebody's back. You know what I mean? But the thing I liked about Rob Morris was even when he didn't play well, that dude would stand and answer every single question, Kevin. He was always a completely open book. I remember when he got drafted, Rob Morris out of BYU, and the selling point of him was, one time he wrestled like a bobcat. Okay. I mean, okay. He was kind of a unique guy, but a serviceable player, right? Booger McFarland's the other one that I thought was a huge part of that Super Bowl.
Yeah,
run.
traded, to Indy during that season.
But Robert Morris, by the way, was basically, he's one of the founding fathers, but he was kind of the money bags, a member of the Pennsylvania legislature, but he funded a lot of the early governmental, I don't know what wording I'm looking for here, projects, because he was a rich dude.
Remember when they beat Kentucky in the NIT?
Yeah.
Like a handful of years ago?
Was that the Nerlens Noel Kentucky team?
I think that's right. I had no idea they were in the Horizon League. Robert Morris. I thought the Horizon League was like Milwaukee, Green Bay, Wright State,
UIC, who's leaving, right?
IUPUI. I thought those were the schools there. So, 66-56 IUPUI with a big second half, 42 points. They were 14.5-point underdogs. So, again, we'll have Greg Rakestraw on at 8 o'clock. I was looking at some of the bracketology stuff yesterday, Jake, out of curiosity. Have you ever heard of bracket matrix?
No, it's just like the latest. It's kind of like how they used to do RPI, and then people were like, dude, that is so 2010.
Right. Here comes the net.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually think bracket matrix is a great idea. They combine all the bracketologies into one and basically give you like an update on, all right, there's 100 bracketologies out there. How many brackets is your team in?
Well, if that's the case, I'd like to submit a bracket that just screws the whole thing up.
Well,
just to screw the matrix.
They have.
This IUPUI just made it in as a play-in game because one guy has them as a 1 seed.
I think there is a little bit of validity to it, but they have 118 brackets they use to compile. Now, again, some of these aren't updated as frequently as others, so we probably should note that. But right now, Indiana, they had in 108 of the 115. Kind of their average seed was in between 9 and 10 seed. Now, again, not all of that has been updated.
I'm looking right here. They have Indiana as a 10.
Yeah, the average wasn't like 9.3 or something like that.
9.82.
It's going down.
Times.
I was looking at it, though. If you look at like the people that have updated their brackets throughout the later portions of the week, they obviously tend to have IU much more closer to the first
bubble.
4 in, first 4 out, the bubble, than the ones that maybe didn't update it previously. So, yeah.
They've got Purdue as the second to lowest 2 seed.
I saw that, yeah. It seems like right now, we'll see if it changes with Kentucky losing earlier in the week, but they do kind of have Purdue off that one line. Gonzaga, Auburn, is it Arizona or Baylor?
Arizona,
maybe?
Kansas.
Kansas, that's the other one. So.
Now, what Big Ten team do you think will, because it's not always the best. Sometimes it's the one that plays in the most unique style or has a player that, if teams are not used to seeing them all the time, presents the greatest challenge. What Big Ten team do you, Kevin Bowen, think will go the furthest?
Well, I still think it's Purdue, but I would put Illinois really close to them.
I would agree. I think Illinois is really tough to guard.
What about Wisconsin?
I mean,
Johnny Davis is unlike anything
that's true.
they've had.
I mean, he's a guy that can carry you for sure.
That's different than how Wisconsin is usually built. I mean, I remember it's probably like more when I was in college. Remember Johnathan Taylor, really good point guard they had.
Yep.
But still, Johnny Davis, and say what you want about Brad Davison. You would love if he's on your team. You would love the winning plays he makes and the toughness he brings. And I do think, I mean, he made some big shots down the stretch. And he's going to take a critical charge at some point and probably instigate something. But it would probably be in that order, now that I say it out loud. Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin. I just don't think this is very vintage Michigan State at all. And I know, you bet on Izzo in March and all that, but I'm not I'm not on the Michigan State wagon.
For as much as we talk about death taxes and Tom Izzo in March, that hasn't necessarily been the case for a while with Michigan State, right? Like, we give them a lot of credit in that regard. But Michigan State, and I love Tom Izzo. I mean, Indianapolis became home away from home for, I'm inclined, I have literally an obligation to at least somewhat root for Michigan State the rest of my life, because when my Widowmaker artery was 100% blocked, it was a dude that went to Michigan State that managed to use a balloon and a coat hanger to open it back up. So I'm kind of inclined to have to root for Michigan State. That's right. Having said that, Michigan State, Izzo, when they used to, I mean, it's seemingly every Big Ten tournament and then every Final Four that came through, it seemed like Tom Izzo had like permanent residence in Indianapolis. But that hasn't been the case, it seems like, for the last 10 years, right?
Yeah, when is
they
the
were
last
kind of
Final Four?
Resting off those laurels, if you will.
I think some of it has to do, Jake, with just how poor the Big Ten has been in the tournament, that like they are the most consistent out in the tournament. I would guess that has something to do with it. I mean, they made the Final Four in 2019. I guess they've had some early exits around that.
That's what I mean. I guess that was the point I was going to make, is while they have had tournament success, they also have not unusually, but you've got to have really good teams in order to be able to be a disappointment, right? But they have had some first-round stunners or first or second round where you're like, whoa, like bracket buster, Michigan State. So as often as the funny thing about Michigan State, I guess what I'm trying to get to, long-winded here, Kevin, is the funny thing about Michigan State is, for as many times as Michigan State was a bracket buster because they were like a 5 or a 7 seed that got hot, and you're like, here, Tom Izzo, here you go, March, with the Chris Hill team, for example, that came here, that kind of thing. There are also teams that we forget about where they were like a 2 seed and get bounced in the first round.
Yeah, last year losing to UCLA in the play-in, and then UCLA got on the run from there. So the rundown college basketball this weekend, Butler plays a 5 o'clock game tonight at St. John's. Josh, that's a scheduling makeup, right? Wasn't that game postponed on St. John's end maybe at one point, I think?
Yeah. I don't remember when they were supposed to play specifically. But
Butler's got Providence at home on Sunday. That'll be a big game at Hinkle.
Butler's got 2 and 3 days?
Yeah, I think, was it COVID-related with St. John's or weather-related?
Yeah, it was COVID.
Because that's what we're seeing this weekend. IU was supposed to play tomorrow against Ohio State, but Ohio State-Iowa got postponed due to the saltwater weather when we got that. What was that?
Yeah.
Landon.
Josh, you were down there, right, at the Saltwater Hotel?
Yeah.
Me and Tony Katz.
That's right. You guys were the chicken champions, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. St. John's and Butler were supposed to play on December 23rd. It was postponed.
So that, I think it was COVID related, if I'm not
As
mistaken.
Christmas shopping. They had to do Christmas shopping.
Yeah, exactly. Get that in there at the end. So IU Ohio State will be Monday night, and then Purdue will host Rutgers. I didn't realize Rutgers has beaten Purdue 4 straight.
Listen, 4 straight is the key for Rutgers. 4 straight wins, first ever unranked team to defeat 4 ranked teams consecutively, and all 4 ranked higher than the one they beat the previous. And they got a chance to top off that. If it's not what is a quintet? Would that be 5?
Sure. It sounds good. I think if you just put that in a paper, the professor will be impressed, and they'll just move on to the next line and say, all right, Jake's passing this.
By the way, I finished last night.
You find your wallet?
I did find my wallet. I took a nap yesterday, and I had the issue with my finger with the paper cut and the non-blood clotting, and I thought that was taken care of. And then I woke up and I went into the restroom, and my face was covered in blood because I apparently wiped my face a few times during my sleep of my nap. God. And then
it's a good thing you do live by yourself.
Then I took a picture of the dried blood clot on my fingertip just because I was proud of it to you and Dykton, and Mark then posted it on social media. And it got wild reviews. People loved it.
I think actually Twitter flagged it. One of those things that was a little bit.
Did you automatically mute me from that?
Not safe for work. Yeah, I showed Maddie, and she immediately had a hurl at the sight of that. But one thing to note on Purdue and Rutgers Sunday, Ron Harper Jr., remember he hit the game winner against Purdue the first time around, injured his non-shooting hand earlier this week, and so his status for Sunday is in doubt. Ron Harper had 30 on 10 of 15 shooting in that first meeting, so that could be a big injury to watch with Purdue and Rutgers on Sunday.
By the way, Joel has us up on, I don't know what to make of this. Good morning to Joel. It says, perfect Friday morning with Query and Kevin and the team from Wish TV. So he's got several monitors going here, and it looks like he's got Twitter on one computer screen, Channel 8 on the TV screen, which is they're our news gathering partners, so that's cool. And then below that, it looks like he's got ESPN.com up, and then above it, the Hubler Studio Live, where you see the two of us. I mean,
that
you
is
want to talk
official. I'm seeing this picture.
Let me see what Joel does for a living. He works for Sun King. Hell yes.
Oh, I see a bottle of water there. You should crack one open. A little Wee-Mac you can crack open on this.
Joel, let me tell you something. Retired podcaster Joel Hennard, that's Henard on Twitter, at Joel Henard.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, and listen, if you are one of those who is responsible for producing Pachanga, thank you twice.
Yes, I would agree
wholesomely. Thank you twice.
Sounds like something I need to open up at 10:02 a.m. Certainly if Jake sends me another picture of his finger,
hell yeah.
Something I need to open up. In all seriousness, Jake, YouTube, Hubler Studio. New cameras. You can see Josh, Jake, myself on there as well.
I didn't shower this morning. Don't hold it against me.
Same with Dan and John. I'm wearing a hat that is older than me, so I think I've showered before the show, Jake, maybe twice.
Really? Well, I had to shower yesterday because I was supposed to go to Dr. Huff to get my mole removed, and then I got there, and right before we were about to start, he was like, "Don't you have an IndyCar race next week?" And I go, "Yeah." And I said, "Am I okay to travel after you?"
Yeah, you're going to be in St.
Mole
Pete next Friday, aren't you?
Yeah, and he said, "No, but do you wear a battery pack?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, there's no way that you're going to wear a battery pack with the stitches that are going to be on your back after I remove this mole."
Oh boy,
it's more of a freckle. And I said, "Okay." And he said, "So we got to postpone this." So I said, "Okay, well, thank you." And so I did not have to go and do that yesterday.
So found the wallet, no procedure.
Found the wallet, no procedure, but did shower ahead of time because I didn't want to be malodorous when I went into Dr. Huff's office. Because that's the kind of compassionate, nice guy that I am.
That is certainly the peak of you. You know what I did yesterday after work? I occasionally will go downstairs and work out.
Correct.
I got the itch to we have a half-court basketball gym in the basement.
There's a problem here, but go ahead.
I got the itch to just shoot jumpers.
Here's the challenge there.
The ceiling.
Correct. So MS Communications, the building that we're in, does have on the basement a workout room and then a half-court gym. but there are beams in the ceiling that are only like, maybe 20 feet high?
Yeah.
So you have to like...
It was a little bit of a line drive.
Correct. You have to basically kind of Halliburton shoot it, right? You're not Jay Edwards shooting it, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it wasn't too much of an arc there, but I don't know. That was certainly the Indiana and me coming back and thinking that I actually am athletic, which certainly is not the case. He is Jake Query. Again, Josh Molnick's filling in today for Mark Dykton. He'll be with us on Monday as well. We mentioned Greg Rakestraw in the 8 o'clock hour. Doug Boles, president of Speedway, is going to join us in the 9 o'clock hour. 100 days. Are we 100 days out? Is it today? 100 days out from the 500?
I think that's right.
So we will talk a little bit about
There's a party at the Speedway, right?
Oh, there is.
There's a 100-day party.
Well, are you not going?
I'm not going.
Okay. No invite, or is this I thought you'd be there.
Yeah, I don't get any of that stuff. Like Kyle Knezovich is like driving around in pace cars, drinking milk on 465.
Yeah, Kyle.
He gets like
Kyle's a big deal.
Wreaths and all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm apparently I'm not on that list.
Right, you get the Willpower sponsored Vegemite. Or
That's exactly right.
You get there. But Doug Boles will join us in the 9 o'clock hour as well. Speaking of Vegemite and international, could the Colts be going international this season? Jim Irsay certainly makes it sound like they will be. We'll get into that as well. Happy Friday. Again, the road's not too bad. Side roads look a little bit dicey. I didn't think it was too bad of a morning commute in to downtown Indianapolis, though. Safe travels, though, on this Friday. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Former NFL wide receiver and ESPN analyst Keyshawn Johnson. Hey, Keyshawn, what do you think the ceiling is on Michael Pittman Jr. of the Colts?
I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber, headed in the Pro Bowl caliber way. I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive at times, a little more athletic than what I've seen. And next time I talk to him, I'm going to let him know those things. He could be a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver for them, but he's young. He needs to speed the game up.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays, 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
During our President's Day event, save up to $250 on select Alienware and XPS computers powered by Intel. Call 800-BUY-DELL.
SportsCenter updates on the Fan are brought to you by Big O Tires. Stop by your locally owned and operated Big O Tires and get a $70 rewards card upon purchase of select sets of Michelin tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
This ad for Hellsberg Diamonds has been specifically written for those who'd rather think about hockey than engagement rings. You're at a game and your team scores the winning goal just as time runs out. Now, if that game is your proposal and you're running out of time to find the perfect engagement ring, Hellsberg Diamonds is your winning shot. Our combination of quality diamonds, wide selection, and a price match guarantee means you can be confident in your Hellsberg Diamonds engagement ring buzzer beater. Visit your local Hellsberg store and ask about our amazing financing options or check us out at hellsberg.com.
Hey, it's Big Joe for B&W Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drains, your trusted local independent American Standard dealer. Co-owner Dave Machine says now is the perfect time to invest in that new furnace and air conditioner.
With the utility prices going up this winter, this is a great time to replace your furnace now. With the high-efficiency furnaces out there and the possible of utility rebates, time couldn't be better. There's also special financing available.
With approved credit, ask for details at bigbblacktrucks.com. B&W is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
50 years ago, Brown versus Board of Education outlawed segregated schools, promising the American dream to everyone. The dream of Oliver Brown was quality education for all children. But in many schools, children are being left behind. The responsibility of educating Indiana students rests on us all, from educators and administrators to parents and community leaders. Brown's dream of a quality education is the birthright of every Hoosier and a civil right guaranteed to us by the state of Indiana. If you feel your civil rights or those of your child have been neglected, or that your child has been purposely denied access to the education resources, you have options. Call the Indiana Civil Rights Commission at 1-866-FAIR-FOR-YOU. That's 1-866-332-4748. Or visit our website at in.gov/ICRC. This message is brought to you by the State of Indiana Civil Rights Commission.
Life, there is no free lunch. Are you prepared? Do you have a plan? Who can you trust?
You can trust the NFCC, the nation's largest nonprofit network of credit counseling and financial education organizations. Our certified professionals will help you learn basic financial skills and give you the tools to meet financial challenges with confidence. Come learn with us at nfcc.org.
It's your money. Get smart about it.
A public service from the NFCC.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
It is not often that we will lead off a Big O Tires Sports Center update with news about the Jaguars of IUPUI. So kudos to them and Matt Crenshaw's group. Let's go ahead and give them a salute.
Can we cue up that fight song again, Josh?
Let's get the fight song going all morning long.
Such a beautiful fight song.
It is a nice fight song. Presented by, now is this the first time the Children's Choir didn't have Josh Kaufman with them?
That's a great call. I don't know. Sandy Patty leading this during Yuletide?
There you go. Yeah, this is down here at the Yuletide. That's right.
You know, I've been to probably, I'd say 30 IUPUI basketball games at the Jungle in my day.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of my best friends, Sean Esposito, played kind of the end of the Hunter era, Ron Hunter era, start of the Todd Howard era. They actually had a really good team. Made the finals of the Summit League tournament one time with Alex Young. You remember Alex Young?
I do.
The Northwest product? He's got to be one of their leading scorers in program history.
Charles Price, wasn't he there? Was that before that?
Name doesn't ring a bell. Robert Glenn was one of their better players. Big guy out of Ben Davis.
Who was the fella when they went to the tournament? Othello something? Odell something?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I can picture him.
Good player.
A headband, bald.
Correct.
Yeah, I can picture him right now.
Was it Othello Harrington? Am I way off on that?
That's an NBA. They played Kentucky, right?
Othello Harrington's a guy that got like a max contract one year. I remember. I'm like, wait, what? For I think Washington, maybe.
Yeah, I remember him as like a rocket.
Out of Georgetown, maybe?
Yes, that sounds right. IUPUI 66, Robert Morris 56. Do we have a nickname on Robert Morris?
Bob. Just a friend's, though.
Bobby. It's got to be something from a, revolutionary time
I'll go
frame.
with the Quakers. What's your guess?
Multiple choice. The Colonials, the Quakers, or the Warriors?
Colonials.
Oh, that's Colonials.
By the way, Odell Bradley. Was it Odell Bradley that I'm thinking of?
That sounds right. 14.5-point underdogs. The Jags last night, they go into hostile environment in Pennsylvania, beat Bob Morris 66-56. Again, 7 of 8 from 3 in the second half. IUPUI gets their first Division I win this season. They are the last Division I team to win a game against a D1 opponent.
Hang on. Odell Bradley played professionally for the Alaska Aces, okay? The Alaska Aces. Do you know what league the Alaska Aces are in?
I mean, they're not a G League team, right?
That would make perfect sense. The Alaska Aces are in the Philippine League.
Oh, wow.
Now, what kind of road trip is that?
Man, that's a hell of a road trip. God.
Come on.
All right, we're chartering to Indonesia to play here.
We got a game Saturday, boys, so we need to be at the plane by Tuesday.
Right, exactly, yeah.
I'm assuming that it is not, they're called... Oh, they're named for the Alaska Milk Corporation. They're not even in Alaska.
So was he on the George Hill teams or before George Hill, right?
He, I think, was just before. Yes, he came out in 2004. So that would have been just before George, right?
I think that's right. Butler's got St. John's tonight. Again, that's a 5 o'clock tip. 8-point underdogs, the Bulldogs. They are looking for their third straight win. Jake, they haven't beat 3 straight D1 opponents, Butler, since the start of the year.
That is amazing.
When they beat IUPUI, Central Arkansas, and Troy. So a chance here for Butler to continue to kind of steady the ship. They have played better, certainly, over the last few weeks. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Nothing for Indiana Purdue until Sunday. Purdue is going to have Rutgers. That is a 5:30 tip from Mackey Arena. In the history of Purdue and Rutgers, Jake, they met 17 times. Purdue won 12 of the first 13 meetings, and Rutgers has won the last 4.
Do you know my Rutgers basketball history knowledge that I think a lot of people forget about? The last time 2 undefeated teams were in a Final Four. Do you remember the year or the teams, Kevin?
I would guess 79. No?
Great guess. 79 was DePaul, Indiana State, Michigan State, and Penn. Penn was the Cinderella. Penn played the first semifinal against Michigan State and trailed by the largest halftime margin in Final Four history at that time until I believe Villanova and Oklahoma surpassed it.
God, hell, Baylor, Houston had to be up there last year.
Yeah, that was bad.
What was it?
76.
Was Indiana State undefeated? You won the Final Four? That year?
Indiana State was, yes.
Was Penn? No.
Penn was not, no. '76, though, Rutgers and Indiana were both undefeated in the Final Four.
Gotcha.
Indiana, of course, advancing to the national title and defeating Michigan 86-68.
And they did not play Rutgers, right? Michigan played Rutgers in the semi?
That is correct. By the way, Odell Bradley also played for the Pittsburgh Explosion. Doesn't that sound like the name of the band at Showbiz Pizza? The Explosion? The Pittsburgh Explosion. Would you like to guess their league?
I got nothing.
They were in the CBA.
Scranton
They were
league.
in the CBA, but they folded in 2006, but later came back as the Pittsburgh Phantoms and then the Pittsburgh Bassettes playing in the ABA. There's an ABA still? Okay. At least they ain't in Alaska.
Where is Robert Morris? What city?
It's in Pennsylvania. I think is it in Pittsburgh?
That's a great question.
Moon Township, PA.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Obviously. That was my second guess.
A rowdy town. I can only imagine the environment last night for the
Moon
2-win
Township?
Jags and the 7-win
Pants optional.
Colonials there. Ohio State on Monday for the Hoosiers. Ohio State plays tomorrow. They've got Iowa. Again, they've got to make up that from some weather earlier in the year. Jake, I don't know if this is hope for Indiana fans, but arguably their best game of the year was Ohio State. They beat them 67-51 at Assembly Hall. They played really, really well in that first matchup. Granted, home versus away, quite the discrepancy.
Look, I think Indiana's in a situation here where they've got to get two of them to close it out, right? Unless they make a strong run.
Two of the quality environment.
Correct. I mean, at least one. I mean, I think that their skid here has put them in a real precarious position.
I think winning at Ohio State and then just winning the games you should, which I know is a big question with this basketball team, I think that would be enough. But the margin for error has shrunk big time. The Pacers in all-star break mode. Tyrese Halliburton, we heard him on JMV yesterday. Here was Halliburton talking about guys he watched growing up.
Nah, I don't know if there's anybody in particular. My whole life just took bits and pieces from everybody's games that, I've admired. My dad made me watch a lot of 90s basketball. So
awesome.
Like Magic and those guys. And then just me being a basketball fan, I used to stay up late, watch the Clippers game so I could watch Chris Paul and things like that. So there's just a lot of guys in the NBA who, I admire and, have tried to take bits and pieces from their games.
That doesn't make me feel old at all to hear an NBA player say that his dad made him watch 90s basketball.
He is 21.
I know.
Magic Johnson, Chris Paul, two pretty good guys to watch if you're a point guard.
Man, that does make me feel old, though. But yes.
Talk about vision. And that's something I've seen with Halliburton. You don't want to get too far ahead of things here, Jake, but I know you were there the other night. His vision and kind of looking to play ahead, looking to pass ahead, he definitely has that. So he'll be in the Rising Stars game tonight. Chris Duarte was supposed to be in as well, but his toe injury will sideline him. And then the dunk contest 3-point tomorrow night and the game itself on Sunday. All right, we come back here on Kevin and Query on a Friday. Again, the roadway's not too bad coming into work for either of us this morning. The side streets look a little bit dicier than ended up being, at least for us. Will the Colts play overseas in 2022? We'll get to that next here on a Friday.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 38,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low 2.25% rate.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. Offset high prices with lower monthly payments or turn your home equity into cash.
Lock in this low rate while you can. Call 317-706-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.336% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
Even though it's cold outside, now is the time to plan your backyard project. Mark Rowland with Indy Decorative Concrete here. Learn the advantages of our stamped concrete patios. Endless design options, low maintenance, structurally superior, typically lower cost than wood decks or pavers, all backed by the best service and best warranty in town. Visit our showroom on Brookville Road or check us out at indydecorativeconcrete.com.
Bet Rivers Sportsbook wants you to experience Rush Pay. When you want to cash, don't want to wait 2 days just to get the go-ahead to withdraw your money. That's why Bet Rivers created Rush Pay. With Rush Pay, 80% of withdrawal requests are approved instantly, meaning you'll get your money faster. Why wait? Get your cash when you want it. Bet with a winner. Bet with Bet Rivers Sportsbook at betrivers.com. Must be 21 and located in Indiana. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448.
Hey guys, looking for a reason to spend 3 days on the couch watching basketball? Schedule your vasectomy at Urology of Indiana for a Thursday or Friday, then sit back, relax, and catch some games over the weekend while you recover. It may be the only time your wife approves of hoarding the couch and the remote control. Vasectomies at Urology of Indiana are simple and typically take only about 15 minutes. Soon after, you'll be out the door and on your way home. During your recovery, you'll take ibuprofen and be back to your normal activities in 3 days. The docs at Urology of Indiana are board certified and perform vasectomies every day of the week, all year long. They're pros at what they do. And they have multiple vasectomy clinics, so chances are good there's one close to you. If you've been putting off your vasectomy, now is the time. You'll never have a better excuse to watch basketball. Call Urology of Indiana or visit vasectomyindy.com for information and to schedule an appointment. That's vasectomyindy.com.
It's a big week to save at all 26 Payless Liquors family-owned locations. Oliver Sweet Red, White, and Rosé are only $6.99 a bottle. Bud Light and Coors Light 16-ounce 12-packs are $11.99. Four Roses Yellow Label 750s are just $19.99. Crown in the Purple bags $22.99. And this Saturday from 9 to 3 at the Southside Flea Market, right next to Payless Liquors East Street location, there's a free COVID vaccination clinic, no appointment needed. More than just your neighborhood liquor store. Open 7 days a week and online at PaylessLiquors.com. Don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Kevin, you've been to the Rathskeller, right?
Oh, yeah. Many a Friday nights there.
Do you enjoy German cuisine?
Not overly.
The big German beers. I'll tell you what, the two guys, and I don't know their names. But
I do like the beer, but...
no question. And at the Rathskeller...
The mustard, isn't that what you always tell me about?
Oh, man, that thing, that hot mustard will clear you out, buddy. Let me tell you. At the Rathskeller, in the indoor area, just before you go out to the beer garden, there's the long bar there.
Yeah.
Where they have the silo, the plastic silo cups that you can get a beer. The two guys that tend bar there are literally the two best bartenders in Indianapolis. I mean, I go twice a summer, maybe 3 times a summer when the Elect is playing at the beer garden. I love going there. But, I mean, literally, I'll walk in and the guy's like, Osiris? The hell? That's what I ordered 10 months ago. Fabulous place. But anyway,
and that place can get zoo-like very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, it's great. There's a reason for that. But in terms of German lifestyle, German beer, the language of German, whatever it might be, are the Colts going to have to brush up on any of that and familiarize themselves with Germany?
Yeah, that's a great segue per usual. Boy, it sounds like there's a possibility. And I guess let's kind of lay out where we're at right now with the NFL, playing games internationally, because with COVID, I know some things have changed. The NFL will have 5 games overseas next year, Jake. 3 in London, 1 in Munich. I believe Bayern Munich Stadium is where they're going to play that game. And then the other one in Mexico City. What is it? Estadio Azteca, I think it is.
Did you say there are going to be 5 games overseas?
Well, I guess 5 games international would be the proper way to say that. 3 in London, 1 in Mexico City, 1 in Munich. And the NFC teams will be taking their home game overseas. So I think that is a kind of a critical point to make for Colts fans that are curious if one of their home games is going international. That will not be the case. Remember last year we had the 17th game added to the schedule? Last year the AFC teams got the extra home game. So the Colts hosted the Bucs in the extra home game. This year it's flipped. The NFC teams get the extra home game. The Colts will travel to Minnesota for that one. So the 5 games we'll see international. It will be the NFC teams taking their games international. Now, the 3 NFC teams the Colts play on the road, Jake. Cowboys. Last time they've been international, 2014.
Okay.
The New York Giants. The last time they've been international, the same year as the Colts, 2016.
Okay.
And then the Vikings last played 2017 internationally. So you've got 3 teams that the Colts, again, will have road games against NFC teams, and none of those teams have played internationally in the last 5 seasons.
I'm going to predict right now. Dallas doesn't feel like a team they would send to Munich.
Well, again, there's only 1 game in Germany.
I know. What I'm saying is the German game, what we know is that the home team, that it will have an NFC team, right? What I'm saying is if it were Colts Dallas, I don't think they'll send Dallas to Munich. I think they will send the New York Giants to Munich. So I'll bet you the Colts, and I do think the Colts.
Well, why wouldn't they send Dallas to Munich?
I don't know. I think because
isn't that your biggest brand?
Locally, yes. Domestically, yes. But this is me overthinking it here, Kevin. But this is the first time that the NFL has played in Germany, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're going to Frankfurt starting next year.
Because it's the first time that they are Frankfurt right here up the road, up 31.
Don't think the hot dogs.
That's where they filmed the movie Blue Chips, right? I mean, so why not bring the NFL there too?
No, I don't think Brandon Kroen's Frankfurt days. No, I think this is Germany.
So the Cowboys, to me, clearly the NFL has done a lot of work of getting its brand in London, okay, and getting London used to the NFL game. So because of that, I think in London there would be more familiarity with which franchises are a big deal, and I would think the Cowboys would have more cachet in London. That's where you'd send them. The Giants, I have no idea how popular American football is in Germany, but if this is the first time of getting the audience in Germany familiar with the NFL, I would think that you would send the biggest city as opposed to the biggest team here. And like, hey, it's New York. It's, here you go. It's New York.
I assume a lot of Colts fans will laugh at this statement, Jake, but do you think the Colts would be any sort of draw to Germany given the fact that they did draft Bjorn Werner in the first round and
Possibly.
He did play here for a few years?
That's not entirely crazy to say. I would think, if anything, and this is a moot point now, if he was still playing, I could see that Andrew Luck would have been, because of the fact that he lived in Germany as a kid and his dad was part of the World League, etc. So, if anything, maybe Andrew Luck, if there's any, and I have no idea, Kevin, what the level of familiarity is with the overall familiarity with the NFL in Germany. I mean, I think that we think that it's a big deal, but I don't know. I have no idea. I was in London. I got to think of what year. In 19, I was in London the weekend that there were NFL games. I know you went to the Colts game there, right?
Yeah, 2016. Mm-hmm.
And I went, and it was I believe it was Tampa and the Falcons were playing. And I was almost unaware of the fact that the NFL was in London until I was at the train station to go back to Paris, and there were a bunch of people milling around in Falcons or Bucks jerseys, but it was primarily tourists from America that had gone over for the game.
Yeah, we went to a Fan Fest event, Regent Street in London, which is their big, whatever street you want to, Times Square-ish sort of area there. It was packed on Friday. And I thought it was really cool. I know a lot of people are like, the international game, it's stupid to go over there, blah, blah, blah. It's a waste of taking a home game. I enjoyed it. I thought Wembley was an awesome stadium. You forget how big it is. Honestly, it's a lot bigger than most, if not all, NFL stadiums. And the other thing that was really unique to me is you had 80,000 people, Jake, in their seats with 30 minutes to go until kickoff. You would never see that here in the NFL. It's people are just, it's a 60% capacity for the national anthem. Then everybody descends into the stadium after that.
Do you think that the Colts, number one, are definitively going to be one of these teams?
I think there's a good chance.
How much say do the teams have in it?
So I think you can protect some of your home games, but you can't protect all of them. Again, home games, but it looks like it's going to be NFC teams. I don't think you have a ton of say in it, but I also think, Jake, it's pretty appealing to go play overseas. I mean, honestly, if you're Jim Irsay, you're thinking to yourself, what type of marketability am I going to get out of Colts at Vikings in Minneapolis? What type of marketing am I going to get Colts in Munich with the standalone game at 9:30 in the morning, not to mention tap into a global market? I mean, that's totally different than just playing your average 1 o'clock game
now,
on
will we
Fox.
go? Will we go? Because you went to London. Were you working here when you went to London?
No, I was with the Colts, but I know J&V was there.
And Dockage was there, too.
Dan was there as well?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's do it.
But you've got to think. Right? Maybe?
Guten Tag. And how do you say good morning? Is that right?
Jake, what if it's during Oktoberfest?
Ooh, buddy. I have a buddy that went to Oktoberfest and told me that literally my buddy went to Munich to Oktoberfest and told me that his hotel room that he got was like one of these boutique hotels, but it had a small individual-sized microwave. And he doesn't like German food, but he found like a village pantry type place that had frozen those frozen cheeseburgers that you could microwave. And he said literally he lived for 4 days on one cheeseburger a morning, one cheeseburger a night, and then nothing but German beer. And he said the flight back was the worst 6 hours of his life.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll bet. That would not be good.
He's in the bathroom again, shockingly, here.
I don't know why. Kevin, here's an interesting thing. And I don't know why this is, and I'm sure people would and it's not a knock on Germany at all. If I was going to pay the money to go over, and I would love to go to Germany, don't get me wrong, but if I made a list of the European places I'd like to visit, Germany is probably the lowest on the list.
Really?
Yeah, I would love to see, because of the different things that I'd like to see in other, I would love to go to Spain.
Yeah, I'd put Italy and Spain atop my list.
Totally. And then I've been to England and France. So then I do think that some of there are areas of Finland and Sweden that are just beautiful. There, historically speaking, are areas of Poland I think would be fascinating. I've heard that Prague and Budapest both are fantastic cities. And then Germany, I don't know why. I'm just it seems very rigid to me. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some history there that would probably lead you down that path.
And maybe that's unfair because I know obviously Germany has worked very, very hard to overcome that.
Bob goes tinfoil hat time. Wentz is a German surname. Colts play in Germany, and Wentz is the starting QB.
That's pretty tinfoiled.
That is tinfoil.
We're keeping Carson Wentz even though he sucks because we want to go to Germany.
Yeah. One of my friends texted me, how about Bjorn Werner flipping the coin? Boy, that would give you some PTSD out there at midfield. Welcome, former Colts great Bjorn Werner.
But here's the thing. Bjorn Werner probably has as much cachet to the fans in Munich as Raymond Berry does when Jim Irsay brings him to Lucas Oil Stadium.
That's a great point. I'm pretty sure.
Hey, guys, Burt Jones is in the house.
Bjorn's doing some, I think, NFL correspondent for some German TV. Steve is on the phone line. Steve, if the Colts play in Germany, are you heading there?
Guten Morgen, meine Freundensday Radio, Kevin und Jai. That's how you say good morning, my radio friends, Jake and Kevin.
So are you fluent, Steve, in German?
That was beautiful.
Ich möchte ein Bier. That's another important thing. I want one beer.
Okay.
You know, having lived in Germany for 7 years, I kind of have a little cachet in the language.
How about let's play football?
That one. The play is a hard. Let's play is a hard verb to make in German.
Oh. Yeah. See, there's no fun over there. That's my whole thing, right?
But,
where'd you where'd you live over there, Steve?
I lived in Heidelberg for 2 years, and I lived in Bad Kreuznach for 2 years, and I lived in southwestern Germany for 2 years. So great time there in Germany.
Sorry, Steve. Did you enjoy it? Honestly, I mean, kidding aside, did you enjoy it? Number one, and then here's the other thing that we'll begin with that, and then I have a second question. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it, and given the opportunity to go back to Munich, I would go in a heartbeat, and I would be happy to be the tour guide for the Kevin and Query show in Munich if you guys broadcast live.
Okay, Steve, here's my other question. No more. I always ask people this about other countries that have visited them. If you were to take me, blindfold me, put me on an airplane, take me to Germany, and then take the blindfold off, if I did not know that I had left the United States and I looked around at the geography around me and the topography, I would think I was in what state in the U.S.?
I would say that you would think you would be in the western Virginia in the Appalachian Mountain area, a lot of hills, a lot of rolling country, or if I took you to another place, you might think you're in Napa Valley because we used to live in wine country and we'd walk our dog in the vineyards.
Nice. Okay. Well, how do you say thank you in German?
Danke.
That's right. Danke.
And if you're Spanish German, you say mucho danke. Thank you very much.
Or if you're Ferris Bueller, you say danke schön, right? So there you go.
Danke for calling in, Steve. Happy Friday. Buenos Viernes, or whatever Friday is in Spanish. I don't know any German. Sorry, Steve. Would Mexico City wet your whistle at all, Jake?
Yeah, I think Mexico City would be cool. I've always...
That stadium looks awesome.
Yeah, and listen, Mexico City, the biggest challenge, quite frankly, when they play sports there, and I think a lot of people don't realize this. Do you know the biggest challenge when teams play in Mexico City?
Pollution?
The altitude.
Altitude, that's
Mexico City, I think, is...
It's like 8,000 feet above sea level.
I mean, it's way up above sea level.
I know you're not a big United States soccer fan, but I always remember when the U.S. plays Mexico there, that's always a big angle to it all.
I think Mexico City would be a fascinating place to visit.
So there's been 4 games all-time in Mexico City, 28 all-time in London. Those are the international games that we've had. Again, Munich, and then Frankfurt is going to start in 2023 here. The Green, did we ask this on air, Jake? The only team, I guess I just said it out loud, the only team in NFL history to have not played an international game?
This is surprising. Now, again, do you think this goes by just market? Because
I have no idea why this team hasn't played an international.
Here's the thing, Kevin. This is why, when you were saying, aren't the Cowboys the biggest brand versus, say, the Giants? I think that if you are trying to introduce the NFL game to fans overseas, you would begin by sending them cities with which they might be familiar, because you're assuming that they're not familiar at all with the teams themselves. Example given, and I know that we in the United States think the NFL would be the 800-pound gorilla worldwide. It is not, because of primarily soccer. Like I decided last year, I think it was during COVID, I was like, I'm going to start watching Australian rules football because my buddy's in Australia. I need a team to root for.
Texting me and asking me to come over and watch.
Well, the games are on at like 3 a.m.
Oh,
that would be awkward. It's just boxers. So as I'm watching these games, I'm like, I need a team to root for. Well, I looked at the list of teams and I'm like, well, okay. I mean, I don't know what Queensland, I don't know where that is, but I knew where Melbourne is. Okay, fine. Melbourne's my team. I'm Melbourne Kangaroos, by the way. Northern Melbourne Kangaroos last year. Up-and-coming team, young guys, really.
Are they built the right way, like the Colts?
Character, yeah. They forged. Ruse forged. Yeah. I'd bang the anvil before the game and then hop around a little bit.
Blue collar, gold swagger is their motto.
Mostly what they talk about is how when they get way ahead in a game, they say they got the win in the pocket. Is the way they say it.
Oh, boy.
But at any rate, but my point being, in familiarizing myself with their teams, I looked at the cities with which I was familiar.
Yeah.
that would be, to me, probably, if you're trying to introduce the European fan to the NFL, why Green Bay has been the last one to go over. Because even though we know it's a rich tradition here, I'm assuming that there are very few people living in Berlin or Munich that know what Green Bay, Wisconsin is. But they know New York, Chicago, probably Dallas, Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers, the only NFL team to have not played internationally. I don't know if the Favre,
which is
German?
You know, the funny thing about it, too, the Packers, you feel bad for them because they've had their suitcase ready forever. Okay, it's a Friday.
Oh my God!
You got a reprieve coming up here.
Thank the Lord.
Josh, deep down, you were impressed by that, were you not?
I'm speechless.
Yeah, that's one way to put it, Josh. Thankfully, Greg Rakestraw is going to save us here next segment. Yeah, the old
but is he?
The old Green Bay International Flight Airport. I don't know if that's because we went through it. Well, no, I guess we were direct Indy to London. And then I know they did a bullseye plane, Indy to Detroit to London, or maybe it was just straight Indy to London. Heathrow is where we flew into. And then we stayed way out.
But you chartered, right?
Right. We stayed at a place called The Grove, which was kind of far out. It made me think of what Steve was just describing of, like, you know, what do you say, Western Virginia?
I took the Channel train from Paris to London.
Do it again?
What's that?
Say that again?
Channel. So that's the train that goes...
Is that the L?
No, it's the train that goes from Paris to London, but it goes underneath the English Channel.
I think Antonio Cromartie might have taken that one.
It's a tunnel that goes... You might be right. He did go to Paris, didn't he?
Yeah, it's kind of a little awkward situation. Then he got burnt in the game.
When looking out over the countryside, it reminded me very much of the drive from Indianapolis to Chicago, because it was basically flat farmland from Paris.
Did you have the wind
to London?
Whatever.
No wind farms.
Okay, no wind farms. No fair oaks.
Although we did get close to Belgium, where I think they have the old-fashioned windmills. But it was very flat and looked like farmland. But then as you got towards London, it really did feel like going in through like Gary and East Chicago, where all of a sudden it was like industrial and factories, and then boom, you go underneath the channel and you come up and you are in London, and it's like being in Chicago. Obviously, it was pretty cool though.
He's Jake Query, Josh Molnick's in for Mark Dykton. It is a Friday morning. Again, for those curious what the roads look like, they don't look great, but I thought they drove just fine to me. I guess the main roads are pretty clear. The side streets, not as clear, but again, I thought they were pretty good for those waking up and getting ready to make their morning commute. Greg Rakestraw will save us here coming up next on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
School is in session.
Now here we're back to this again. Lenardi. Last four buys. Indiana. People have no idea. They think I hate on Indiana. I root like hell for Indiana. But I also got to come on this show and I got to tell you what's real. And what's real right now is this basketball team is bad. And the truth of the matter is, Indiana, they blew a hell of an opportunity to put themselves in a much better position.
Dan Dockage. Weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Come to Auto Sales and Service and drive home in a vehicle with no credit required. They've been helping people find a new ride in Indy for 35 years. Stop by their 2 Indianapolis locations.
At HeroLoan.com, we always keep it 100. Get the loan that you've earned and keep it 100 at HeroLoan.com. The only way to VA.
NMLS number 1326-241.
Hoops are happening, and college basketball's biggest stage is right around the corner over on PropSwap. Every season, prop swappers make thousands of dollars by simply buying and selling college basketball teams. Well, now is the time to find those Cinderellas where the odds are still high. So get to your local sportsbook, buy a handful of tickets, and list them on PropSwap. Remember, only one team needs to make a run, and that ticket will pay for the rest. You can buy and sell tickets over on PropSwap at any point during a game, tournament, season. Dark horses happen every year, so download the free PropSwap app today. Remember, PropSwap is where America buys and sells sports bets. If you're looking for better odds than what your sportsbook is offering, look no further. PropSwap is your answer. There's never been a better time to join. Use promo code FREE100 to receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. To find the best odds, join the real sports bettors and download the free PropSwap app today.
As a Shane Company jewelry consultant, I get to work with couples looking for their dream engagement ring. Many feel overwhelmed. They just don't know where to start. And that's what I love about my job. I get to make this important experience fun and easy. We don't work on commission, so there's no pressure. When you visit, first, I'll want to know, what are your ideas for your dream ring? What fits your lifestyle, your personality, your budget? Then we'll go from there. We'll look at ring settings and I'll show you options for the center stone. For example, if you choose a classic solitaire ring setting, I can show you how it'll look with different center stones, like a pear-shaped diamond or an oval pink sapphire. We have all shapes, colors, and sizes. If you're going for a big look with lots of sparkle, I can show you our halo ring settings. Or, if you want a ring that's ready to go, we can look at our perfectly preset styles. Visit your friends. We're in this together.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. Welcome to another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper-gig speeds. Say hello to the Walkers, a family of not one but 4 Gagillionaires, each living up their Gagillionaire life at ludicrous internet speed. First up, Anna Walker. She dominates streaming like the matriarch she is. No show ever goes unwatched under her watch.
Next episode.
Next up, Peter Walker. There's no stopping this dad bod from showing up to his virtual workout sessions.
Let's go leg day.
And finally, the Walker twins. They may look alike but couldn't internet more differently. Harry dominates his fellow online gamers while Heather group video chats with friends.
Ooh, nice background filter, Jess.
Live like a Gagillionaire. Get internet that upgrades everything. AT&T Fiber, now with speeds up to 5 gigs.
Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed. Single device wired speed. Max 4.7 gig per second. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
March Madness, where allegiances mean everything and fandom reigns supreme. Where Cinderella teams dance with bracket busters and perennial powerhouses. Your fire fuels their flight. Go beyond your limits and enter the NCAA universe. The road to the Final Four goes through Indianapolis, March 17th and 19th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Get your seats today at ncaa.com/MBB tickets.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Wisconsin hosts Michigan in a Big Ten basketball showdown. Sunday at 12:45 on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Another voices lifted high, cheering. It's Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Literally, Kevin, you asked earlier because IUPUI's big win last night over Robert Morris if we had the fight song, and we got ourselves a bootleg audio of them from the choral group at the Risers at the Fashion Mall, right?
How beautiful does this sound?
It's nice. I feel like I'm about to go up and get a second slice from Saboro, right?
I feel like our next guest, given his voice in general, would have a great singing voice.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm taking some the music for the listener music theory class right now. And I can tell you that this individual, probably not necessarily, I wouldn't say a bass, but a baritone.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that's probably a fair assessment. Greg Rakestraw, again, courtesy of ISC Sports Network, and CarX, the high school hardwood rundown. We'll get to the high school angle, too. But first, Rake, how is your singing voice?
My singing voice was very good. I have not done it proficiently in a long time. People ask kind of, hey, what sort of vocal training did you have in terms of, being an announcer? And I sang in the choir in high school. In fact, the first time that I was on statewide television was not for doing play-by-play, but I was a part of Governor Bai's Christmas special in 1991 with a singing group that I was in southern Indiana.
Look at that.
And by the way, Jake was right. I'm a baritone. He nailed it.
Yeah, see, hey, Greg, let me tell you something.
Jake has an A in that class, right?
Yeah, I have a 97% in music for the listener. I mean, you ain't dealing with a chimp here, right? But I can tell you right now, left-handed 16 tones for Chopin. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly.
The guy can play hot cross buns on the recorder like none other. Among the many duties Greg Rakestraw has, one of them is voice of the IUPUI Jags. Rake, in all seriousness, I know we've probably poked a little bit of fun at the situation. It's very unfortunate this year, only 6 guys. Shout out to Matt Crenshaw and company for that win last night at Robert Morris.
Absolutely huge, and I'm so happy for those guys because they have put in the work, and it comes on the heels of, they had played 3 games in 5 days on the road. They were able to get home for at least a day, maybe 2, but it was just the kind of, and it wasn't a makeup. It was the way that the schedule had been laid out. But they are they're ready for their 5th road game in the last, I guess, 9 days, 10 days, because they were literally at Fort Wayne on last Thursday, at Cleveland last Saturday, in Chicago on Monday, back home for a day or 2, go all the way out to Pittsburgh to play last night, and then play at Youngstown tomorrow afternoon. So you mix in the travel, you mix in the amount of playing time for 6 players, and on your 4th road game of a 5-game road swing, you get your first Division I win of the season. Absolutely thrilled for those guys.
It's funny, Greg, because Greg Rakestraw is our guest. He's on the Payless Liquors guest line. Upcoming our CarX High School Hardwood Rundown, taking a look at basketball throughout the area. But and I guess kind of segueing into that, Greg, last night into this morning, kind of a surprise, like precipitation. I mean, maybe I slept on it, but I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't know we were supposed to get ice and like a little bit of snow. And then that made me a little bit nostalgic because I thought, you know what? What does it say about the surprise, all of a sudden out of nowhere, like flurry snowstorm? But that always means one thing in the state of Indiana when it comes to basketball, right?
Sectional week. And we had that for the girls, obviously, with what happened a couple of weeks ago and throwing chaos in that. And a lot of the sectionals were finished up, last Tuesday, not the previous Saturday, the way they were supposed to. But absolutely. I think I've heard about the snowstorm of 60 or 61 from my mom, where she had classmates that got stuck in the gym at Salem for a day and a half, because back in those days it was 12 and 13 teams that were playing in a sectional, and so you would have games all day Thursday, all day Friday, and you'd have semifinals and championship game on Saturday. So yes, this is part of Hoosierdom that it's supposed to snow this time of year.
All right, Greg Rakestraw's with us again, ISC Sports Network. We've got girls semi-state this weekend, the pairing show for the boys this Sunday. You and Bob Lovell will be on the call for that. Let's start with the girls semi-state. I had someone message us earlier in the week saying, time to talk about Mooresville. They're on a Cinderella run. I believe you had them last week, Rake. Is it Mooresville and Franklin for a trip to the state finals?
That is correct. 2 of the teams in the Mid-State Conference. So there will be a Mid-State team in the 4A state championship game. And that is of note because the Mid-State, has grown as a league, both in terms of its membership and because of the growth of the schools that are in it. But typically in the 4A classification sports, you don't see that many teams from that league make a state championship game, just because they all tend to be on the smaller end of 4A. None of them are small schools, but all of them, compete with schools that have enrollments of 1,000, 2,000, sometimes more students than they do. So it's really cool to see. Franklin was expected because Franklin made the semifinals last year and returned almost all of their key pieces. Mooresville is a team that has historically been very good. Usually it's the regional round where things kind of stop for them. So this is their first trip to the semi-state in 2009, or since 2009. They've got 3 seniors, but their other top 6 players are freshmen or sophomores, and their 2 key post players are both sophomores. So this is a surprising run for Mooresville. And again, they face a familiar foe, but a team that is really good. Franklin checks in at number 2 in the state coming in.
Rick, Tyrese Halliburton was on with J&V yesterday. He actually mentioned that IUPUI was his first Division I offer, by the way, which I found interesting. But he was talking about how much he loves high school basketball and he wants to go to a game here once he gets back from the All-Star break and all that. So I know the regular season, ends here coming up for the boys, but if you had to toss him to a game, in, I don't know, maybe sectional 10, considering Jake and I's allegiances, where would you tell Tyrese Halliburton to head here in the next couple of weeks?
As the man that's had the call of every game in sectional 10 for the last 3 years, and we'll do that again in a couple of weeks, I'm not going to send him anyplace differently.
Where is sectional 10 this year, by the way?
Sectional 10 is at the Jake Query Not Yet Memorial Gymnasium.
Not Yet Memorial.
Yeah, Jason Gardner and Jake Query, I think, have a co-name on that.
I figure they might get some naming rights. If there's not a statue for Jake at that place, at least like there's some scratching next to a urinal or something along those lines. So, but yes, and 6 of those teams have 12 wins or more. Only LC is under 500 of that group, and LC's pretty good basketball team. They just play a great schedule like everybody else, locally in 4A, and especially in the MIC-10s to do. So, Tyrese just wants to hang with me at the North Central Sectional. I can find something for him to do if he wants.
That would be North Central High School, by the way, the gymnasium in which Greg was just talking about. Greg, when it comes to Greg Rakestraw is our guest, he's on the Payless Liquors guest line. Looking forward to, as you were talking about there, the sectionals and just, some of the great matchups that we're going to see. But I'm curious from your standpoint, because you've watched all of these teams, maybe from a local or within the listener-based standpoint, give me a team that when people look at it and they're going to see their record and they're going to think, yeah, okay, I'm not taking them too seriously, but that they're playing well now, maybe are healthier now than they were at the beginning of the year, that are peaking at the right time. Does anybody jump out at you?
I'm not sure if I go full on peaking at the right time, but Lawrence North is the team that would catch my attention. And again, obviously that's not a surprise given, their normal ability and the fact that they played in the state championship game last year. I think they were the favorites to win the state championship the year that we stopped the tournament because of COVID in 2020. But this is not your typical Lawrence North team in that they really play 6-3 and under other than CJ Gunn. Their record is solid, not great, and that's in part because CJ was injured, for the first month and a half of the season, didn't begin until December the 28th, in a loss to Tinley for Lawrence North. So it's not your typical LN team, but I saw him play against Ben Davis last Friday and was really impressed by what they were able to do. They then backed that up by thumping, I forget whether it was Snyder or Southside. I think it was Snyder that they played last Saturday, and then had it on cruise control in terms of winning that contest. So LN's a team that probably, especially by their standards, has flown under the radar for most of the year. But CJ Gunn is playing his best basketball, and he is the caliber of player that can carry someone if needed. And so don't sleep on LN coming up a couple of weeks from now.
And by the way, Kevin, I should also mention that as we're talking about the IHSAA right now with, obviously, as Greg's talking about girls basketball and then boys basketball getting set for that. Also, the finals this weekend, always a cool event. Gaybridge Fieldhouse, just $10 to get in for the wrestling state finals that take place tonight, Saturday, and Sunday. Saturday, I take that back, $15 per person on Saturday. But on Friday, that's tonight, just $10 good all day at Gaybridge Fieldhouse.
Rake, are you doing, side mat for the wrestling state finals? It's always one of my favorite events.
I'm the Matt Side reporter again. So we didn't do that last year because of COVID concerns, but I'm back, and it's the easiest gig I have all year. I talked to 14 winners, asked them 2 or 3 question stops. I talked to the state championship winning coach at the end of the night, and then I have to say something intelligent for about 30 seconds into a camera at the start of the broadcast, and usually it's about guys that are return defending champions. So, for example, like Zeke Seltzer of Cathedral, who moved up a weight class but is looking to win another state championship.
Be 3, right? 3 for him?
Bubbly personality.
It'd be 3 for him?
Yes, and Jake, I got your joke. Well played by you. There's a couple of returning champs that are in different weight classes for Evansville Mater Dei, Gabe Sollers, Bradley Bowman. But the star of the show is going to be a young man named Jesse Mendez, who is wrestling at 138, and he has a chance to become a 4-time state champion. He literally has lost one match in 4 years. That was his sophomore year.
And he's out of what school?
He is out of Crown Point, so he is another wrestling legend from the region.
Just out of curiosity, because I remember, I think it was Lance Ellis when I was in high school at the Cathedral, Kevin, that was undefeated for 4 years, and I believe went to Indiana. This young man you're talking about that could go 4 for 4, Greg, do you know where he's going collegiately?
He's going to Ohio State, and he is ranked as the 6th best wrestler in the country.
Now, do you have to do the interviews in a singlet?
I do not, and that is a good thing for everyone involved.
Oh no, that'd be must-watch TV on a Saturday night. No need to watch the slam dunk contest. Let's see that, Rick. I did want to go back to LN for just a second, and we've talked about this in regards to Indiana University men's basketball team for quite some time now. How good of a shooter is CJ Gunn? I know he puts up a lot of points, but for the umpteenth year in a row, Indiana could use some perimeter shooting.
Right. No, he's a good 3-point shooter to the tune of mid 30%. I think where CJ's game is really good is you got a great mid-range game, and he is good about being able to not just beat his defender off the dribble, but he is outstanding in terms of elevating. The lift that he has got on his jump shot is a sight to behold. In other words, it's a very translatable skill. He's a legitimate 6'5". That's not program height. He's 6'5". Good handle and can pull up and score 10 to 15 to 20 feet. So skill sets that not just work in high school, but also work at the Big Ten. So I don't think he's a knockdown, dead-eye 3-point shooter. He's kind of got an old school game. You can isolate and let him work and pull from 15. You can run some set offensive plays for him, and he can get you a bucket. And that is a skill set that Hoosiers sorely need.
Courtesy of CarX High School Hardwood Rundown here with Greg Rakestraw. Rake, last one from me. I was watching Purdue the other night, and it just kind of struck me, I guess, how little I knew about Mason Gillis entering Purdue as a basketball player. The Newcastle, when you hear that, you immediately think great shooter, obviously. But then he's kind of labeled as this glue guy, and now this year he is kind of a knockdown shooter. Fill me in on his high school career, right? Wasn't there like a big baseball element to him? And then I think, he battled some injuries as well.
Right. Injuries are the story that sticks out to Mason to me because he basically missed 2 years. He tried to play through some injuries as far as like junior all-star stuff and AAU stuff the summer before his senior year. And basically they had to shut him down for his senior year. He did not play a minute as a senior at Newcastle High School. And unfortunately kind of changed the dynamic of their season because they were in the state semifinals in 3A as a junior because his teammate was Luke Bumbelow, who plays at Ball State, who was also an Indiana all-star level player. And so they were beaten by Trey Callaway and Culver Academy in the state semifinals his junior year, and then obviously had a completely different year his senior because he could not play. Then he was redshirted, as a freshman, as clearly Matt Painter is wont to do, but I think injuries were a concern with that too. And so you're just worried about after anybody sits for 2 years, is that guy ever going to kind of get back to what he could have been? And I think we are seeing that now. The 3-point shooting you saw against Northwestern on Wednesday night, I'm not sure that's always typical for Mason, but his ability to go get a rebound, his ability to do the little things, everybody thought that he had that, and that physical strength that he brought with him from Newcastle. Again, you felt that would translate at the Big Ten level. And yes, he was pretty good baseball player as well, but basketball was always going to be the direction he was going to head, and I'm just happy for him that seemingly the injury bug, knock on wood, is behind him.
Greg, it's funny because Mason Gillis' dad, Bill Gillis, who played at Ball State, was at North Central when I was there. He was a senior when I was a freshman, but he was absolutely chiseled, but was like 6'7" maybe. And at that time, that was the quintessential low post, back to the basket, big man, like a Dale Davis type player. And then I look at it now and I think, man, Bill Gillis in today's game would have had to have basically reinvented his game the way his son plays, right? Because at that size, that's just the way that college basketball has gone. The other thing I wanted to ask you before we let you go here, Greg Rakestraw, is back to what we opened with, and that is IUPUI. Look, I want it so badly to work for IUPUI, whether that's to get their own small arena on campus. I really want it to work at the fairgrounds because I think it's such a cool venue. But it begins with just trying to get a team that people want to see play. We talked about the situation that Matt Crenshaw inherited with players on the roster from kind of a limbo administration before him. What is the footprint or the groundwork right now in terms of where they go from here and where they are with just 6 players?
Well, they've got 5 young men committed to come in, and the thing is that it is much easier to turn things around than it used to be because of the grad transfers and because of the transfer portal. And clearly the message that was sent in terms of bringing in Matt Crenshaw was to bring in someone that knows the program, that knows the area, and the fact that there is not a single scholarship player currently from the state of Indiana on the roster, that will change. The Girard twins are from Mount Vernon are heading this way. And I shouldn't say it's not a single scholarship player. Zach Gunn, he's just not playing this year because of injury. So there's not a scholarship player that has appeared in a game this year, for IUPUI. So that will help. But I think for Matt Crenshaw, it's going to be dominate the area in and around 465 and staying closer to home more of an option or reality for those guys that are college basketball players, Division I players, maybe not Big Ten or Big East caliber players. And then the other area that you live in, and this has proven to work ever since they jumped to Division I. If a young man goes away for a year or two and wants to come closer to home, you're the option for him. I think back to the best team that IUPUI ever had, and that was George Hill's junior year. His last year, he didn't play his senior year on the NBA draft. But, George had 2 phenomenal shooters he could kick it to. Gary Patterson began his days at Butler, ended up at IUPUI. Austin Montgomery began his days at Bowling Green, came back home to play for IUPUI. Last year, Marcus Burke went to Campbell out of North Carolina, came back and spent his last 3 years, 2 of those on the court at IUPUI. And so that's where you've got to live. You've got to be able to get the Marion County, city, county, suburban kids that want to stay close to home. And then you got to be able to have a scholarship or 2 available for those that went away and said, you know what, I miss home. I want to play somewhere close to home. I'm going to go play for Matt Crenshaw at IUPUI. That's the formula for sustained success. And honestly, I think it's going to take Matt too long to get there.
Reggie, you and I had this talk, I know, at a Colts training camp before, and obviously when I followed the program closely, when Sean Esposito played there, they had the Alex Young, Northwest, Robert Glenn, Ben Davis, John Ashworth, Franklin Central, Stephen Thomas, a Cathedral kid. Like, that's what I feel like you got to get back to. I mean, the IPS and then the township schools and even the donut counties, I think that's just such a gold mine. Not getting the top 2 or 3, that's probably unrealistic, but even if you get the back end of those 5-man teams, an all-city and all-county team, you can build something that I could think could be pretty consistent.
Absolutely. And, let's take a look around. Tech's pretty good. Tech, Cathedral's pretty good. Ben Davis has a tremendous junior class. Lawrence Central's got a pretty good junior class. Again, the kids that are seniors now, you're too late on those kids. The kids that are sophomores and juniors, absolutely, you got a chance to land on those kids and having them, play here at home.
Again, CarX, the high school hardwood rundown. Rake's got you a little semi-state with the girls, the pairings show this Sunday, and the wrestling state finals Saturday night. A busy weekend per usual in the month of February for Greg Rakestraw. Rake, congrats on the W last night for the Jags, and thanks as always.
You got it, fellas. Take care.
That is Greg Rakestraw right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. It's time for a Big O Tires SportsCenter update.
The SportsCenter update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
So, Kevin, what we know is that IUPUI did win last night 66-56 over Robert Morris. They got 18 from Bakari Lestrap. They also got 18 from BJ Maxwell, just 6 players playing. But that starts what is a busier slate for other teams in the area, including some that have to play couple games in a short amount of time.
Yeah, Butler being atop that list. They have St. John's at St. John's tonight, 5 o'clock. I was at the first matchup at Hinkle a few weeks back. Butler had a 9-point lead midway through the second half and just could not close that one out. So we'll see if the Bulldogs can get their first 3-game win streak over Division I teams since the start of the year. Then they come back on Sunday. They've got Providence over at Hinkle Fieldhouse. So a very short turnaround there. As far as Purdue, they've got Rutgers on Sunday. And Jake, that's a game, I probably overlooked a couple weeks ago. All of a sudden, you've got a 5-loss Rutgers team, a 4-loss Purdue team. This is a huge game for the top of the Big Ten.
Yeah, and when it comes to Rutgers, I mean, look, what they've done here, unprecedented. Nobody in the history of college basketball has beaten 4, as an unranked team, has beaten 4 ranked teams. And in addition to that, each team ranked higher as they move up the charts. And Rutgers is still on the outside looking in, it would seem, for the tournament, but they really want to get that Purdue game, Kevin. And Indiana should have an eye on that, too, because if Rutgers comes in and takes a spot or wedges their way into the field of 68, it may come at the cost of Indiana.
A big injury to watch for Sunday. Ron Harper Jr., who had the game winner against Purdue in the first matchup in December, 30 points in that game. He injured his left hand. That's his non-shooting hand. Against Illinois earlier in the week, so we'll see if Ron Harper will be available. I was looking up the box score from that first matchup. Purdue was 7 of 26 from 3 I don't even think they call it the rack anymore, but I still call it the rack. Rutgers was 7 of 14 from 3 in that first meeting. For Indiana, it's the weekend off. Ohio State game had to be pushed to Monday because of inclement weather impacting the Buckeyes' schedule. So Ohio State will play Iowa tomorrow and then host Indiana on Monday night, and it goes without saying what that game means for Mike Woodson's team.
Yeah, Indiana absolutely has got to get the ship turned around and headed in the right direction. And Kevin, they put themselves in a position now where, because they're backpedaling a little bit, they may need, quite frankly, I almost hate to say this because people are going to take it literally. Indiana needs our booster shot, right? I mean, that's the bottom line, is like Indiana found themselves where it looked like they were good to go. And then after losing some of those games, they now need any protection they can get to solidify themselves in the field of 68. Because I think they're teetering, man.
Yeah, they're certainly teetering, and I would agree. They need something else on that resume, and at the same time, kind of avoid any slip up here. Next week, it'll be again at Ohio State Monday. Then I think they host Maryland, I believe, on Thursday. Tonight, it's the Rising Stars Challenge for the NBA All-Star Weekend. NBA All-Stars in
first or second year, right?
Cleveland, yes. First and second year players. Chris Duarte was invited. He will not play due to a toe injury. Tyrese Halliburton will be there, though. He will be playing. He joined JMV yesterday, and Jake, you said this comment made you feel a little old.
Nah, I don't know if there's anybody in particular. My whole life took bits and pieces from everybody's games that, I've admired. My dad made me watch a lot of 90s basketball. So
awesome.
Like Magic and those guys. And then just me being a basketball fan, I used to stay up late, watch the Clippers game so I could watch Chris Paul and things like that. So there's just a lot of guys in the NBA who, I admire and, have tried to take bits and pieces from their games.
Do you like that song Bits and Pieces by the Dave Clark 5?
Boy, I can't say
that makes me feel older, by the way.
Familiar with it.
Oh, we'll play it here in a second. It's fabulous. That makes me feel older than hearing somebody say that their dad used to make them watch 90s basketball. Like when you mentioned the All-Star Weekend, this is how old I am. And when I say this, Kevin, there are people in my age demographic, I guarantee you, that are going to go, hell yes, I remember that perfectly. 1990 NBA All-Star Weekend Slam Dunk Contest. Dominique Wilkins won the dunk contest, 1990. But that absolutely, anyone in my age range, they don't remember the 89 dunk contest. I think Kenny Walker might have won that one. They don't remember necessarily the 91 dunk contest, the 92 dunk contest. Everybody remembers the 1990 dunk contest because it was the exact same night at the exact same time that Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. And all of us had two screens going, one on TNT watching the dunk contest and one on HBO watching the impossible Mike Tyson getting knocked out.
So certainly I've seen highlights of that. I was just 1 year old, so I don't know if I have vivid memories. I would say my generation, Jake, the dunk contest they remember the most.
Vince Carter?
It's Over by Vince Carter.
I could see that.
The hand literally all like grabbing the bottom of the net.
That's pretty crazy, right?
It's honestly kind of an iconic image we still see.
That's the problem now with the dunk contest is what else is there to do?
Well, we'll name the dunk contest candidates here in a little bit, Jake. I mean, You could tell me they all work for WIBC, and I believe you. Like, I've never heard of these people.
Who would win a dunk contest from WIBC?
I think John Herrick's got some height.
He does have some heights.
Yeah.
Stan Lear might be sneaky.
Yeah,
right?
Stan Lear's got a hell of a voice. I don't know if that could impact any, if he announces his dunk before he goes in there.
Eric Berman would be able to quickly figure out the average numbers of the scores very, very easily and quickly off the top of his head.
The 9s and the 10s he would get, he could very quickly
Tony
do that.
Katz would only come in from the right.
I very good there. I would see him more of it in the skills competition, Tony Katz. Versatile guy, smoke a cigar. I've seen him, I don't know if minister a wedding is the right term to use, but I've seen him do that before. So,
is there a saltwater pool in these skills contests?
That's a great question.
Tony Katz he is a mean chicken player in that saltwater pool.
I'm still trying to
back
picture
during the snow days.
Greg Rakestraw in the singlet that you were referencing earlier there. That's a nice image there on a Saturday night. Tyrese Halliburton's All-Star Weekend will be just one night. He will head back to Sacramento afterwards. That was kind of interesting. His first D1 offer, IUPUI.
That is interesting. Although,
got a lot of family from Kokomo.
That's why George Hill went there. George Hill went to IUPUI's basketball camp after his freshman year of high school at Broderpool, and Ron Hunter offered him. And so that was his first offer. I mean, he literally said, if you want to come and play college basketball, you can play here. And then late in George Hill's time, he averaged 36 a game.
Oh my gosh, he was incredible in high school.
Late in his high school career, he started to finally, once they knocked off Carmel,
I was at that game.
Roberts, he started to get some attention, and it was his grandfather, like basically on his deathbed, that said to George Hill, look, you need to be a man of your word. You told that man that you would play for him after your freshman year when he had you come to his basketball camp. That's where you need to go. And so he went to IUPUI.
Was that game? It was Hill as a senior,
IUPUI is a palindrome.
Junior.
That's correct. I think it was the other way around, wasn't it?
Hill was a senior, McRoberts a junior, right?
I thought Hill was a junior, McRoberts was a senior.
Oh, because then I also went to McRoberts' senior year sectional game when Eric Gordon went off in the fourth quarter as a sophomore and beat them. I think that's right. Also went to George Hill's senior night game. You talk about an awesome environment at the Jungle. That was, it's one of the kind of the cooler, kind of small gym environments that I've ever been in. And watching Ron Hunter coach for 40 minutes is honestly worth the price of admission. All right, we come back here on Kevin and Query. I think I have another reason why. Did you say the Giants, Jake? That's who you think the Colts will play internationally this year?
I'm predicting it right now. Giants, Colts in Germany.
Okay, I'm going to go with a different team. Still in Germany, though, and I will tell you why when we come back here. Joe Wiz at 8:45, get you set for some college basketball picks this weekend. And Doug Boles in less than an hour, 100 days out from the 2022 Indianapolis 500. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, Indy. Want big winners in college hoops and the NBA? Catch me, Joe Wiz, host of the Fein Line, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on The Fan.
JMV here for Aurora Sleep. You can stop snoring now and start sleeping better, just like I did. Visit StopYourSnoreNow.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom. Don't worry, call the CarX man.
CarX is the best in brakes, and they'll prove it to you. Right now, a lifetime guarantee comes with a new set of brake pads for just $109.99 per axle. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with lifetime brake pads at a great price. Installed at just $109.99 per axle at CarX Tire and Auto. The best in brakes.
Don't worry, call the CarX man. We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any.
Trading in or selling your car, truck, or SUV? WeBuyAnyCar.com takes the hassle out of selling in just 3 easy steps. 1. Get your free online valuation. 2. Drive to your local car buying center. And 3. Walk out with your check in as little as 30 minutes. So don't wait. Get your free online valuation now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Find out how much your car's worth at WeBuyAnyCar.
Even though it's cold outside, now is the time to plan your backyard project. Mark Rowland with Indy Decorative Concrete here. Learn the advantages of our stamped concrete patios. Endless design options, low maintenance, structurally superior, typically lower cost than wood decks or pavers, all backed by the best service and best warranty in town. Visit our showroom on Brookville Road or check us out at IndyDecorativeConcrete.com.
Terry Stacy here with your American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning Race Day forecast, brought to you by Family Heating and Air. Nobody cares for you like family. Racing season is here. I'm so excited. The Daytona 500 is Sunday, always a sign that spring is around the corner. Kyle Larson's on the pole, and the forecast for Sunday in Daytona couldn't be better. Partly sunny and a high of 73 at the green flag. This is your American Standard Race Day forecast from Family Heating and Air, your local independent American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
If you suffer from chronic joint pain, don't assume that steroid shots, pain pills, and surgery are your only options. You can now get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. I'm Kevin Bowen, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in using biologic therapies to repair damaged tissues in your aching joints, and the success rate is staggering. People with knee and back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, they're moving again, enjoying life again with help from QC Kinetics. This advanced, unique treatment protocol uses natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joint. They go to work to soothe the inflammation and restore damaged tissue, a truly regenerative treatment. It's time you get a second opinion. You can call QC Kinetics now and wake up to life without pain. So call QC Kinetics for your free consultation. 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160.
The Ride with JMV. Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton joins us. What do you think about this Pacers roster that you see moving forward?
We got a lot of youth, a lot of guys that, feel like they have something to prove in this league. More likely than not, we're going to get a decent pick in this year's draft, bringing another young guy who's ready to go. And, I'm looking forward to what our roster is right now and what it's going to be. Just looking forward to keep growing here in Indiana.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6
on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. It's Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Okay, so this is the Dave Clark 5. This song actually...
Not to be confused with the Jackson 5? Or?
They're from Tottenham. Big fans of Spurs.
So the NFL's playing there, too, now.
Tottenham, yes, and yes.
Now, who are you imitating there?
That is just a Brit.
Boy, I'm sure the NFL can't wait for Jake Query to return to London.
That's just my British accent.
How about your German? What if we're going to Munich?
I don't know. What's actually my
quick to the point.
Yeah, I have German, whatever. German descent. I am of German descent, I guess, but I don't know why Germany to me just feels very, and I know that people say it's beautiful and I've had friends that have gone to Oktoberfest that loved it. I do have a feeling though, what I'm getting at is if I could go to Europe, as we talked about earlier, there are other places I would go probably before Germany, but I think anywhere in Europe that you get a chance to go to is a privilege for certain. I just have this weird feeling that the Colts are going to end up, because Jim Irsay's tweet. Let's begin with that, Kevin. Tell me about Jim Irsay's tweet yesterday in tipping the hand a little bit.
Yeah, Irsay tweeted, "Will we play in London this year? ? Germany? ? Mexico City? ? And a little football emoji. Jim Irsay does very good work with the emojis.
He is good with the emojis.
So just to clear up for those that missed it earlier, 5 international games for the NFL next year, 3 in London, 1 in Munich, 1 in Mexico City. The NFC teams will be hosting those 5 games because the NFC teams get the extra game with now the 17-game schedule. The Colts hosted the Bucs last year. The AFC teams had the extra home game last year. It's now the NFC team. And something we didn't mention earlier that I should mention, Jake, I believe over an 8-year period, every team will have to have one of their home games overseas or international.
Let me ask you this.
So 1 home game every 8 years will be international.
What is the advantage in the NFL of being a home team?
I don't know, 2 to 3 points, something like that?
No. Okay. In baseball, if you are the home team, you bat last. Okay, I guess in
basketball, I don't know.
Basketball, there's really not. But from an NFL standpoint, if you are an NFC team, the one thing that and this is true of basketball too, but the one thing that being the designated home team gives you advantage is that you have the home crowd and you are in your stadium.
Yeah,
3-4 points right there. So
for the Colts, the biggest you can play Jack and Diane whenever you want.
That would be awesome, right?
And that's huge.
That we need to talk about the Colts playlist.
Or the who?
Dave Clark, the Dave Clark 5, about as current as the Colts playlist in the stadium.
Hey.
But my point being, if you are the NFC team, you talk about the NFC this year they will be the home teams for the extra game in the season. I would not, if I'm the Giants or the Vikings or the Cowboys, I would feel totally slighted because the one time where I get the extra game that is a home game for me, if it's in Munich, there's no advantage.
Well, again, every NFL team's going to go through this over an 8-year cycle.
I get it, but I'm just saying for that season, I'd be like, wait a minute. I mean, what advantage do I have as the designated home team? So I get the bigger locker room?
Yeah, okay. It is a sacrifice you have to make here. But again, this is part of the NFL, and when the owners see how much international money will be coming into their pockets eventually, I think they'll be okay with such a move. So you think Giants, Munich, right? That's what you're going with?
Well,
Giants hosting the Colts in Munich?
This is the way I look at it, Kevin.
The fact that Irsay tweets that has got to be an indicator that they're going.
I would think the Colts are in discussion, yes. Although Jim Irsay also is pretty smart in keeping the NFL conversation constantly going, right? Because what are we doing right now? We're talking based on what he is throwing out there.
That's a good point.
But the NFL, it is no secret, is in a very concerted effort here, ongoing, to internationalize, if that's a word, their brand. And I do think personally that the NFL efforts to take off in London probably have been, if you were to put truth serum in people, I don't know that it's had the overwhelming oomph that they maybe thought it would. I think it is still a slow acclimation process for. And look, it seems as though people that have watched the NFL in London are enjoying it, and
you're still getting 85,000 at Wembley.
Correct, but I don't know that when they're not there that they're getting like the non-state. You know what I mean?
It's never going to truly grow until they get a lot of players.
Correct, and it is still a novelty over there. Is what I'm getting at. So in other words, when like I was in London, and look. One Sunday experience does not totality make. I get that. But I was in London on a Sunday, an NFL Sunday, on a Sunday when the game, when the NFL was in London, when it was Tampa and Atlanta were playing. And there wasn't, like, I was in pubs and everything else. There was no sign that the NFL was there. And it wasn't like people are like, oh my gosh, you're from Indianapolis? You must know of the Colts. I know that's hard to grasp because the NFL is so massive here. So if you're continuing to try to acclimate European sports fans to the National Football League, I don't know that the cachet yet of, hey, the Cowboys are a huge brand, the Steelers are a huge brand. I don't know that resonates yet over in Europe. So therefore, you're going with what cities they know. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, etc. If this is your first indoctrination for the German audience to the National Football League, I would think that you are bringing to them the biggest city that they know, and so therefore I would think New York gets placed there.
So I'm going to come at it from a different angle. Let's go with Colts and Vikings in Munich. Involve the German Hard Knocks, and the angle is this. Former Colt great Bjorn Werner at midfield for the coin toss with the horseshoe on.
Okay.
And the man...
Is there an anvil?
And the man who's doing the coin toss for the Vikings, the newly hired personnel man, Ryan Grigson.
Okay.
I mean, here we go. German Hard Knocks. We're going to be over there, knock on wood, hopefully doing morning radio. I guess there would be kind of lunchtime radio.
That's right.
And they could come and film us at some local Munich pub and then boom, Grigson, Werner, 50-yard line before the game starts, mano-a-mano, and if that isn't the subplot to all of a sudden make international football take off in the NFL, then Roger Goodell's an idiot.
Those two guys certainly bring up some hard knocks. I mean, there's
that's one way to look at it.
Very fair point.
Right? I mean, juicy angle, boom.
I wonder, okay.
And Ryan Grigson, again, newly hired in the Minnesota Vikings personnel department, just FYI for those that might have missed it.
Kidding aside, Kevin, Bjorn Werner is probably a prime example of how big do you think it is in Germany that he played in the NFL?
I actually think it is. Josh, when you look at what Bjorn Werner's doing right now, I think he's like the NFL correspondent for the German version of ESPN.
Okay. But that's probably not unlike, or probably somewhat the equivalent, is it not, of, for example, and this is, okay.
He was a first-round pick. That is a big deal.
Understood. No, and I'm not taking anything away from him. I liken it like this, Kevin. Think about the NBA and, Christian Watford. Christian Watford is a guy that someone says, hey, what's Christian Watford doing now? The Watt shot. We just celebrated the 132nd month anniversary of the Watt shot. What's he doing now?
Probably playing for that Philippine league you were talking about earlier.
And someone will say, well, he had a tryout in the NBA, but he's making good money overseas. He's over there playing in Europe. He's making good money. And we think of the European Basketball League as kind of the second tier behind the NBA. Like, it's cool, but, whatever. So, racing. When people think about, like, Castroneves or Canan or whoever it may be, if you go to Brazil or you go to Spain and you ask them about Alex Palou, they would say, yeah, I remember watching him when they were karting, and they're not in Formula One, but they're over there in the States racing, and they make good money over there. And it's kind of the same thought process. I think for a Bjorn Werner, there is no football league for them to compare it to, but when they think about, they're like, oh, he's playing that football game over in the States and he's making good money with that. I don't know that they think of football as like right there in their, American football. It's right on par with football that we see here, which of course is soccer. I think that the game of soccer is so big in Europe that American football is just kind of that second tier afterthought that, yeah, I know that it's cool and I know that people love it and I know they make good money doing that, but I have something that is the bigger focus of my attention.
As of September 12th of last year, he was named the co-owner and sports director of the Berlin Thunder.
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe is a part of the European League of Football.
Of American football?
Correct.
Right, yeah. Official Twitter account. Not a lot of followers of the Berlin Thunder. 2,000 on Twitter there for Bjorn Werner as the co-owner. So
hold on. I want to see. We're going to pick a team. We're each going to pick a team here. It's the European. What's it called again? European League of Football, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna pick our favorite teams here.
Grigson, man, he's 31 years old. Gosh,
he's got quite the Instagram.
Oh, the
following.
Barcelona Dragons are back. This is basically all the old World League teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Istanbul Rams. Now here's the Leipzig Kings. Where is that? Do we know? Panthers Wroclaw. Where's that?
God, I got nothing. So Werner was serving as a commentator and analyst for NCAA and NFL games on German TV, as well as co-hosting the podcast Football Bromance.
Okay.
There you go. So we'll see. Again, 5 international games. NFL schedule not coming out for a couple of months, but it sounds like they will be announcing these international games here shortly. And if Jim Irsay's tweet is going to lead to anything more from an international standpoint, again, doesn't sound like it would be a Colts home game they'd be giving up. It'd be one of their road games that they would be playing internationally.
This World League of Europe, American football, whatever it's called, on the schedule here, they list it as upcoming matches. Well, I mean, are we meeting halfway here on the vernacular? What are we doing?
I think you're trying to cater a little bit to your audience there.
What time is kickoff on the pitch? I mean, come on. You know?
How would you rank or rate your British accent?
Oh, it's horrible, which is what's great about it, because if you talk to any Brit, they will tell you that there is no way to impersonate a British accent. Yeah. So you have to be as bad as possible, right?
going to say, maybe we don't want to go over there. I don't know if that would end well.
Hey, hello, tally-ho, chop. Yeah, they love
Joe
it.
Wiz is going to join us next. College basketball.
He does not have a British accent.
No, he does not. He has a very distinct accent, though, and that is the New Yorker in Mr. Wiz. He's going to join us next, give us some college basketball picks, maybe some NBA All-Star action as well. You're listening to Kevin Aquari on a Friday.
Ready for spring? How about a trip to Sullivan Hardware and Garden or Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan, where you can smell that spring is in the air? Hey, Pat Sullivan here, and this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, everything is 20% off. Best pricing of the season on premium patio furniture, already preseason priced at 30% off. You got it, take an extra 20% off. Now, this only happens once a year. All grills and accessories, 20% off. Best deal of the year on all gas, wood pellet grills, and the Big Green Egg. Everything in lawn and garden, including the Scott's 4-step annual lawn care program, 20% off. Even Benjamin Moore paint is 20% off. Visit the Yellow House at Sullivan's, where all gifts, garden and home accents are, yes, 20% off. Come smell spring is in the air this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, where everything is 20% off. Sullivan Hardware and Garden, 71st and Keystone, 49th and Penn, Cicero, and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan.
This ad for Hellsberg Diamonds has been specifically written for those who'd rather think about football than engagement rings. When free agency starts, your team wants to get the best players they can without spending too much. If your team is you and the players are engagement rings, then your best bet in free agency is shopping at Hellsberg Diamonds, where you know you'll get the highest quality diamonds at prices that keep you from going over the salary cap. Visit your local Hellsberg store and ask about our price match guarantee, or check us out at hellsberg.com.
Hey there, it's Jake Query. Interesting thing happened to me really towards the beginning of the new year, towards the end of 21. And that is I started thinking about the possibility of going back to school. And thanks so much to the Indiana Commission for Higher Education, I'm doing exactly that, because they got in touch with me and said, hey, Jake, did we hear you say that you did not finish college? And I said, that's right. That is correct. I still have college classes that are sitting there, but I never got the degree itself. I had, at the time, 18 hours left or something like that. And they said, well, listen, there are 700,000 Hoosiers like you, and, you could do it. You can go back and finish school. And I thought about it. And with online and being able to work on my own schedule, I figured out exactly how to do just that. Did change majors, picked up some extra credits needed. But here's the thing. I really enjoy the online work because it works at my own schedule, and I'm finishing that degree and setting out a goal that I had for myself some 30 years ago. And I know that there are a lot of you that are in the same position. Reality is this: those college credits do not expire. Whether life got in the way, whether it was a monetary issue, I understand all of it. But it's never too late for you to go back to school, because if I'm doing it, I can promise you, you can. I was what was known as a slacker, folks. So trust me, if I can go back and dedicate myself to do it, I know you can too. There are plenty of tuition-free options out there for you, and there are over 150 certificates from Indiana in high-wage industries. All of it is available in terms of finishing your degree or figuring out maybe just setting that path for the first time on getting a degree for adults in Indiana at nextleveljobs.org. That's nextleveljobs.org.
BetMGM customers can score big with this special offer on the NBA All-Star Game. Simply place a $25 wager on the game, and you'll receive a $10 free bet that you can use on any other NBA wager. Just opt into the promotion, place your bet, and enjoy the All-Star Game like never before with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Get a piece of NBA action all season long with the king of sportsbooks. Sign into your BetMGM account today to receive a $10 free bet on the NBA when you bet $25 on the All-Star Game, tipping off on Sunday, February 20th. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Opt-in required. 21 years of age or older to wager. Indiana only. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Reward issued as non-withdrawable free bet. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Sometimes a change of seasons calls for a change of scenery. Well, in St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida, you can trade in the heat of a blasting furnace for the healing warmth of the sun. You can trade in gray skies for a beautiful calming blue. You can trade in shoveling sidewalks for biking the Beach Walk Promenade. And you can trade in white snow for 35 miles of pristine white sand. Sounds like you found a winter getaway to immerse all your senses. Start planning your beach escape at visitstpeteclearwater.com.
Big Red Liquors is celebrating 50 years in business and big sales all year, kicking off with the February Super Sale, 20% off 3 bottles of wine or spirits mix and match. Through February, 20% off 3 bottles, wine and spirits mix and match, only at Big Red Liquors.
The NBA's best face-off in Cleveland for the annual All-Star Game. Sunday night at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Just because the football season is over doesn't mean the action with Joe Wiz stops. You'll hear him tomorrow, 8 a.m., the Fein Line right here on The Fan. College basketball heating up, a month to go in the regular season, and Joe Wiz joins us now. Joe, are we mainly college basketball in the NBA All-Star Game at all tomorrow morning?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. College basketball, there's 144 games on the slate tomorrow, and you guys got a very big game in your backyard on Sunday. The Scarlet Knights are coming into town looking to sweep the Purdue Boilermakers.
Those are your Scarlet Knights, if I remember correctly, from earlier in the year when Rutgers beat Purdue. I haven't seen an early line on that one, but I am curious this, Joe. Football-wise, we kind of asked you throughout the football season, like what core beliefs you had when betting on football. When it comes to basketball season, college basketball or the NBA, what do you kind of focus on?
Yeah, I really like college basketball. The NBA, is good, but sometimes players just don't show up in the NBA. In college basketball, you get a full effort every time. Every kid plays really hard, and I really respect it, and I appreciate it. I really love the idea that they're out there, and they're all playing, for possibly a future job in the NBA. In the NBA, these guys are making millions and millions of dollars, so if they take a night off, no sweat. But in the college basketball, you guys did a great job last year in the state of Indiana with the entire March Madness this year. It'll be in the Final Four. We'll be in New Orleans down at Bourbon Street. So it's going to be interesting there. And the Big Ten is really exciting. It's heating up. And, we talk about the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They're playing Sunday at Purdue. And Rutgers right now might be the hottest team in the Big Ten and one of the hottest teams in all of college basketball. They just beat Michigan State. They beat Ohio State, Wisconsin, and, just the other day, they beat Illinois. 4 straight games all in the Big Ten. And Purdue, when they were number 1 back in December, the first time they were number 1, they got knocked right off when Rutgers beat them at the buzzer 70-68.
Joe Wiz is our guest on the Payless Liquors guest line. When you're looking at games and trying to handicap them, which to you is the first thing you look at, I guess? The health of a team. I mean, Rutgers has one of their key players in Ron Harper Jr. that's now banged up, but the health of a team or the trend in which they are going in, let's say, their 3 to 4 games leading up to. I would imagine health has to be the priority over everything, right?
Of course, health is obviously an aspect. Harper is a key player. Mulcahy, Amari, all big players for Rutgers. On the other hand, you take a look at Purdue. Purdue is really good. I mean, they're 23-4. They're legitimate, possibly a top seed. But if you look at their spread record, they're just 13-13 against the spread. In the last 2 games, Purdue has not played well. Okay, last Sunday they were favored by 17 over Maryland. Maryland, and beat them 62-61, and they just barely beat Northwestern. Guys, I know we don't have a spread on Sunday's game, but we could speculate that Purdue is probably going to be a double-digit favorite in this game here, and they're looking for revenge, but they're going to have their hands full. So whatever the spread is, I'm taking the visiting dog because I'm going, you asked it, who's playing with better momentum right now? Right now, Rutgers right now is rolling, and they've already beaten, like I said, they just beat Illinois, they won at Wisconsin, which is a very tough venue, beat Ohio State, Michigan State, they beat Iowa, and they beat Michigan. Wow, who would have thought Rutgers could beat all these good Big Ten teams? Take the Scarlet Knights plus the points.
Sorry about that, Joe. It's the Fein Line with Joe Wiz, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. right here on The Fan. I do kind of like an NBA All-Star Game bet, Joe. I want guys to try hard in the All-Star Game, and I would think Giannis and Ja Morant are 2 of those guys. I like both of their MVP odds when I look at the list of those guys.
Yep, and when you look at this All-Star Game, which is being played in Cleveland, it's Team LeBron and Team Durant, and the updated line at Bet Rivers is LeBron. Team LeBron's 5.5, and the totals at 321. And when you look at a game like this, the NBA All-Star Game is just a show game. You could take a shot at whatever. The total in this game, if there's anything, I would maybe take a shot at the total. Last year, the total landed right on the number. It was 170 to 120, and the total was 320. And this year's total is at 321. There is absolutely no defense played in this game here. So if you're going to make a bet, I might lean towards the over in the game. And the All-Star game has changed in the last several years because it's no longer East versus West. You got LeBron, Durant, and you got players picking from either conference. So I think that it's just more of a show game more than ever. And if I was going to bet the game, I would maybe take a look at the money line at plus 180, taking a shot just because there's no value in playing a favorite without knowing, there is no motivation here. And, I'll be talking about all the college basketball games tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'm really excited. As far as I'm concerned, March Madness has started for me already because teams are on the bubble, and there's certain teams that even your team right there, the Hoosiers, are in trouble. I don't know if they're going to make it. Let's hope they can get their act together. They've lost 3 or 4. So I'll be talking about all the college games tomorrow at 8 a.m. And anybody wants to follow me on Twitter, Joe Wiz Sports. I put out free winners every day, Joe Wiz Sports. And guys, I'm glad to be on the air because I know Indiana's a big college basketball state. Unlike the New York metropolitan area, we don't really have many good teams, but we do got UConn and Xavier playing tomorrow, which will be fun as well.
And Rutgers meant to bring in all that New York media attention to the Big Ten when they brought him in. Okay, well, at least they're playing well. Joe Wiz, tomorrow, 8 o'clock, the Fein Line. Appreciate the time and enjoy the weekend of games, all right?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Joe Wiz on the Payless Liquors guest line. A lot of love for Rutgers, man, Kevin.
A lot of love. Boy, I don't know. The double-digit spread, I guess the Harper injury would play a big part into that, but just important. Purdue, the surprise loss at Rutgers, I know it now doesn't look as much of a surprise. I'm just critical with still having a trip to the Kohl Center that Purdue maintain their pace right now. And then they're going to have that bye week, which will be huge for them to kind of watch everybody else in the Big Ten catch up to the 16 games Purdue has already played this year in conference. All right, we come back here on Kevin and Query. Doug Boles, he is going to join us. We are 100 days out from the Indianapolis 500. Jake's IndyCar season gets started next week in St. Pete. So I'll talk to Doug Boles about the new Snake Pit announcement and anything else Indy 500 related, hopefully back to full normal there in May in 2022. You're listening on Friday morning, 9 o'clock hour, Kevin and Query.
Put on your helmet. It's about to get real.
Brett Musburger, what do you think about Gus Bradley as a defense coordinator?
The reason why we went to the playoffs is because of what Bradley did, not just as an X's and O's guy, but the free agents that he picked up. You have a very fine defensive coordinator. I was hopeful McDaniels might keep him. It didn't take Bradley long to hook on with the Colts, and I think it's a good hire.
Dan Dockage, weekdays noon to 3 on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It's CarX Tire and Auto, 14 Central Indiana locations, helping you keep winter road ready. To find that location nearest you, log on, CarX.com today.
Go unlimited at Crew Car Wash to wash as much as you want.
Sign up online or at any Crew Car Wash location for unlimited washes and unlimited savings.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low 2.25% rate.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. Offset high prices with lower monthly payments or turn your home equity into cash.
Lock in this low rate while you can. Call 317-706-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.336% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Hey, it's John for Love Heating and Air. John and Chris Love with the best service this time of year, making sure you're warm and toasty in your home, and that no-cost second opinion at 317-353-2141. And if you mention my name, you'll get $125 off the most advanced air purification system that's out there. That's iWave. Right now, use my name. Love Heating and Air Conditioning, 317-353-2141. Online, love-hvac.com.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB. WIBC HD3 W228CX. Indianapolis. Illinois and Ohio State clash in Big Ten basketball action.
Thursday night at 8:45 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's Kevin and Query.
What the hell are you doing, John? Come back and get it. Charlie, come back toward the ball. If he's coming, I'm going to engage him, and then I'm going to slip out into the screen.
Concentrate, get better. Say to yourself, I got to get better.
On 93.5
Oh, baby!
and 107.5 The Fan.
9 o'clock hour in Indianapolis. It's technically the 9 o'clock hour everywhere in the Eastern time zone. This is the final of our grueling 15 hours of work this week, Kevin.
Yeah, boy. That nap is, hope the blacked out sheets or the blacked out curtains are working well for you
Let me tell you
today.
something.
That sun is
Here is
beaming.
my tip for anybody who has a job that requires sleeping in the daytime, which is not easy to do because your rhythm just kind of, your body knows. But.
Or young children, if you need to black out that certain room.
True. You go to a photo store. Go to a photo store and get a darkroom tarp.
Oh my God! Why are you not doing ad reads for this?
You put that
This is
over the
gold.
window. Have you ever done this?
No.
Oh, you get a darkroom tarp and you put it over the window of your room. And I got news for you. You are in Mammoth Cave, buddy.
You're gonna sleep until 2023.
Then you get the sound machine.
Oh yeah, trust me, we got those.
The static sound machine. I got that going.
Yeah, you can get it in Jake's British accent.
Got to put it on
actually.
do not dis- that. Hey, it's time to wake up. You don't have to brush your teeth because we're British. Yeah. But you get the sound machine going, and then a small fan, usually. Sleep shade, very important. My buddy Mike Byron, who I do the road trips with, says that I'm a diva because I sleep in a sleep shade. And I'm like, I just need everything to be as dark as possible. Even though the room's already dark, I've got to have so that I don't have to close my eyes. They just naturally do it. It's a whole process.
We're gonna have Doug Boles on in about 10 minutes.
I'm sure he's thrilled to be joining that
100
conversation.
days out from the 2022 Indianapolis 500. Jake, I meant to say this to you earlier in the week. I teased this at the end of one of our shows, and I meant to double back and give you credit for this.
Oh.
Do you recall this? Or, do you just get so much credit you probably just don't even remember me saying that?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Give me the specifics here because there are a lot of things in which I get a lot of credit.
Right, for sure. And right now, music theory would be atop that list, correct?
Yeah.
Or listening
97.2%.
Right. Okay, you have been adamant about, and you touched on this Monday after the Super Bowl, Rams 8 yards, 9 yards per carry in the Super Bowl. Saw this stat going around after kind of that stat had been talked about a whole lot. Basically, you don't need a potent running attack or, hell, even an average rushing attack to have success at that level. Of the last 20 Super Bowl champions, Jake, not a single one had a running back that made more than $2 million in that season.
Wow. Bad market to be a running back, right?
So if you look at the leading rusher in the last 20 Super Bowls on the winning team, not a single one made more than $2 million. Just to throw out some names, Cam Akers, the most recent one, Leonard Fournette, Damian Williams, LeGarrette Blount, C.J. Anderson, Ahmad Bradshaw, James Starks, the Saints running back, the leading rusher, Pierre Thomas against the Colts.
Household names, buddy.
For what it's worth, Nyheim Hines, Jake, is making $3.3 million after signing his second contract here last offseason. Johnathan Taylor still under the $2 million threshold, which is an absolute steal, of course. But when his second contract comes up, which he's got 2 more years left on his rookie deal because he was a second-round pick, he doesn't have that fifth-year option, so he'll be a free agent following the 2023 season. That is when...
I mean, what ceiling do you put on how much you're willing to pay him?
I mean, by all accounts, Jake, he deserves the most money a running back
Understood,
should
but
make.
what would that be?
Yeah, man, that's such a great question.
I mean, that's the challenge, right? This
is the dilemma. You're putting a puzzle together, but the pieces need to have value.
I'll put it to you this way.
Specific ceilings.
If you are the Colts and you've got Nyheim Hines and, obviously Marlon Mack but let's be real here, Kevin. The Colts have to move the football on the ground in the past by having I'm not going to say off the street guys, but guys that were not a huge
not second round
investment, right?
Yeah.
So if you had your option between paying Johnathan Taylor, I'm just going to throw a number out, $8 million a year, or using two different running backs that are each making $1 million and spending that $6 million on buying yourself insurance either at the offensive line or for a corner or something like that, which one do you go with?
Yeah, I would go with the latter.
I mean,
and we're talking about Hall of Fame talent.
And I'm telling you, the other thing that I would do, if I'm the Colts, I am shopping Quentin Nelson hard. I'm letting somebody else pick up that second big.
Driving down I-74 and saying, Cincinnati, hey, what about number 31 overall? What about, do you think they would trade T. Higgins?
You mentioned that earlier. That would surprise me.
Colts loved T. Higgins coming out. They loved him. They loved Michael Pittman. Higgins went one spot above them, Pittman to start
Higgins
the second
caught
round.
Everything in college. I will tell you that. Now he
caught a whole lot in the NFL.
I think the thing with Higgins was there was concern about his separation speed, but he caught everything in his direction. Now, the opposite of that, because I watched, if there's one area in terms of scouting that I can speak somewhat intelligently, it's Clemson football because I watch every single snap, right? Deion Kane was a guy at Clemson that got unbelievable separation, but if there was anything in traffic at all, he wasn't catching it. But if he made a catch and he was open,
Did he have like
he was
20
gone.
touchdowns in 3 years at Clemson or something?
I mean, he was a home run hitter, but what you know, in college, Deion Kane was Adam Dunn. He was a home run hitter, but what you don't see is when he's not hitting a home run, he's swinging. He's going down swinging, and it's not pretty.
Tell me about it. Either the Ohio River or right into the catcher's mitt.
Yeah. So that was him. But
one thing Taylor related, Jake, and I get it. He plays a position that's a kiss of death. But he's not missed a game in his NFL, collegiate, high school career. He seems to be pretty unique at that position. So does that lend you to think, all right, this is a guy that can give us 1,800-yard seasons into his mid to late 20s? That, I think, is part of the debate. You'd have to convince me a whole lot of that, but I do think there is an element of, is this dude truly the outlier? Is he the Frank Gore? But even at a higher level.
Well, a higher level than Frank Gore prime or higher level than Frank Gore as a
higher
player?
level than Frank Gore prime, without a doubt he is.
Right.
Gore has achieved longevity that just running backs just don't do. Right. So I'm not saying, I don't know, will he play until he's 34 like Frank Gore, whatever? Like, that's not really the argument, but can he give you 1,800 yards till he's 28, 29? If he can do that, then maybe you're willing to pay a little bit more. But you got to sacrifice on the O-line. Like, interior O-line, I think you've got to make sacrifice. I'd look into trade Ryan Kelly, to be honest with you.
Kevin, who are the three greatest running backs in Colts history?
Falk, Dickerson, James, or I don't know, maybe Allen Amici or
Falk, Dickerson, James. We'll go with
Lenny
that, okay?
Moore.
What do Falk, Dickerson, and James have in common?
They could catch spot out of the backfield, that is?
All three of them
High level?
left here and played elsewhere because in two of the cases they traded them, and in the third they let them walk while they still had football left to play because they knew exactly how to ride a running back up to when the fuel light came on and then let somebody else take it the next three exits before they stopped for gas.
Did Edge sign a second contract here?
He did. He had to have, right? Because he played here from
99 to 05, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looks like Taylor, if you follow those lines, now granted that's 20 years ago, but will you get to a point
and
where
they
you're
drafted
signing
Adai, who was an underrated player, right? But they drafted Adai, and here's what's interesting.
Polian's running back philosophy was interesting.
Adai
and then Donald Brown.
Kevin, they had Edgerrin James with the triplets, right? They didn't get to a Super Bowl until, and this is not a knock on Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James left, and they bring in Joseph Adai, and then they go to the Super Bowl. My point being, was the running back really the key position that catapulted them there? No. It was a complementary position. And probably it was once they started going more towards the complementary nature of it as opposed to the focal point of it, they got to a Super Bowl. That was during the wind of change in the NFL and the philosophical approach to passing versus running, primarily because in the early years of the Peyton Manning era, when Edgerrin James was a major part of what they were doing, Bill Polian and the competition committee changed the rules in terms of hand checking and corner contact to facilitate for more passing yards, thus, as a result of that, de-emphasizing the running game.
Doug Boles is going to join us here in about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit sooner than that. Let's sneak in a Big O Tires SportsCenter update before we get to Doug Boles.
The Sports Center update on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan is presented by Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Kudos and congratulations, that's redundant, to IUPUI, which is a palindrome. Last night defeating Robert Morris 66-56. We mentioned this because that is the Jags' third win of the year. Just 6 players in the game, but nonetheless, Matt Crenshaw's guys putting together a win, I think on the road too, right?
On the road, 14.5-point underdog, their first win over Division I opponent this season. Remember the other teams we looked up? Spalding.
Oh, yeah.
And East-West. So that Spalding, okay. East-West, and Bob Morris. Don't know what that'll do to your resume.
It's pretty obvious if East-West is one of only your 2 wins that your season's gone south, right?
Very well put there by Jake Corey. But like Jake said, congrats to Matt Crenshaw. I know it's been an extremely trying season. 6 guys really due all to injuries and some transfers as well. They were tied at 24 at half last night and then hit 7 of 8 threes in the second half. BJ Maxwell and Bakari Lestrap with 18 points apiece there to lead the Jags.
Busy slate of college basketball upcoming for the weekend. That includes Butler at St. John's. That is tonight, and then they got to turn around, Butler does, and play Providence, right?
Yeah, like you said, at St. John's tonight. It's a 5 o'clock tip. Last I saw, 8-point underdogs, the Bulldogs there. Josh, have you seen anything on Bryce Enzi or Bo Hodges? I know they both missed.
I haven't seen anything on their current
at DePaul
on their current situation.
Yeah, a couple important guys battling injuries there. Butler looking for a 3-game win streak, which would be the first time in quite a while over Division I opponents, first time since the start of the year. A Big Ten action. Joe Wiz talked about this with us about a half hour ago. Purdue has got Rutgers Sunday, 5:30 in Mackey. Rutgers has won 4 straight over the Boilers. Now, it should be noted, 3 of those 4 inside of the rack there. But a big injury. Ron Harper Jr., who went off for 30 points and had the game winner against Purdue back in December. He is unknown status after injuring himself earlier this week.
And Indiana, did you mention, taking on Ohio State
on Monday.
That is a big one. That game, because of all kinds of wonky stuff with scheduling, has been moved, but Indiana will be taking on Ohio State on Monday. Also, in talking about sports, we're getting to that time of year. The shop just released an outstanding T-shirt for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indianapolis 500. We are 100 days out from the 106th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Joining us now on the Payless Liquors guest line to talk about that, the president of IMS, Doug Boles. And, Doug, you've been running around delivering milk, getting ready to go, and I guess it's tonight, is it not, when we start to celebrate the kickoff of the 100 days?
Yeah, so I started last night. I flew home from Daytona and just was so excited to be here, and it's a big day when we get to start counting down from 100. But yep, tonight we've got about 1,000 fans or so who are going to come tonight and help us celebrate here in the pavilion. Normally we have about 1,800. This year we limited it to 1,000 just to continue to be safe as we hopefully continue to put this pandemic behind us. So we'll have about 1,000 folks tonight, and we'll celebrate it officially, and we'll get a video going for everybody to see on the website, and our campaign of Back Home Again in Indiana is ready to roll here.
So that is for tonight, Doug, essentially a sold-out event, right? In other words, people listening that wanted to come out tonight are going to have to find other ways to get ready to celebrate, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, we just can't have the same number that we normally have, and so when we put that, we sent an email out to all of our customers, and within a couple of hours, we had 1,000 people respond, and we're ready to go. So hopefully people can just tune in online, and they'll be able to see the ad campaign that we'll be announcing tonight, and that'll get them going and keep them satisfied as we start down this countdown.
Doug Boles with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Again, 100 days out from the 2022 running of the Indy 500. Doug, yesterday, the Snake Pit announcement, for those that missed it, kind of fill us in on that crew. And if I'm not mistaken, this was, kind of a bunch that was supposed to be doing it during the pandemic, but you guys haven't been able to do it. 2020, I think it was.
Yeah, so most of the lineup was the lineup that we were going to have in 2020, and obviously that industry went through the challenges that even all of us in the sports industry went through, and so we moved everything to 2021. It didn't happen in 21, so everybody except Deadmau5 was planning on being here in 20 and 21, and we just added Deadmau5 here last week, so happy to have him. But Martin Garrix, Galantis, Yellow Claw, Steve Aoki, and Deadmau5, a pretty strong lineup for a one-day EDM festival.
It's Doug Boles, president of the Speedway, again with us here on Kevin and Query. Where are we at, Doug, on first, I guess, any capacity restrictions for the month of May, I guess mainly for, obviously, the 500, and then where are we at ticket renewal-wise?
So as far as we're concerned, we're full throttle on full capacity for May 29th for the 106th running. We are not, at this point, we don't even have a contingency plan team in place to start thinking about something different. We feel really good about that. Now, obviously, things change over the last couple of years. We've learned how to manage through those contingency plans, but right now, 100% focus is on 100% capacity here at the Speedway, so 300,000 plus. I feel pretty good about that. In terms of renewals, we're having the best year that we've had since the 100th running of the Indy 500, so it's going to be a really strong attended event. We'll be well over 300,000, and I'd love to get back to that awesome 350 number.
Doug Boles is our guest, the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Doug, you know the question that I'm going to ask here, and I know what your answer is going to be, but I want to get it out there to everybody else. Because of the fact that in the Snake Pit, if I'm not mistaken, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, there was an announcement that there was going to be a limit on what you could bring in terms of coolers for the Snake Pit area, and then everybody said, what does that mean for the race? Can you clarify those rules for people?
Yeah, for sure. First, for those of you that aren't attending the Snake Pit, so people that are just coming to the Indianapolis 500, infield or grandstands, absolutely bring those coolers. In fact, I need you to bring those coolers. We don't have enough concession stands to take care of everybody. So those coolers really are what help us and help our fans consume whatever food and beverages that they want to bring. And it's part of the tradition, right? What you pack in your coolers. If you're coming to the Snake Pit, you can obviously bring a cooler. You just can't take it into the Snake Pit. We're just inside that venue, especially for the Snake Pit, as much partying and hopping up and down and just jamming together. We're just not going to. We're just worried about some safety issues there. We did when that was announced. I think people thought we were not going to allow anything to be brought in. As we sat down and looked at it, we need to make sure everybody stays hydrated. So we'll have free water stations and all that there. So we have expanded the rules a little bit so that those folks are coming, they can bring in one of those water packets with a couple packets in it, and then we can continue to give them free water to refill. So we just want to make sure that we're properly taking care of folks from a hydrating standpoint. But, when we have people bringing in coolers and they sit them down in the middle of that dance area at the front of the stage, it really does become a little bit of a problem.
Doug, in terms of, you had mentioned the Snake Pit and everything that's going to go on there, which I know people are excited about. You mentioned the fact that as of right now, no limitation in terms of seating. People will be excited about that. The other events that take place leading up to the race itself, is there anything that you're still finalizing plans to see to it, or is it all systems go for all the auxiliary events leading up to the 500?
Our plan is to have everything that we're used to having in terms of the music and those pieces, just trying to finalize artists, especially as it relates to Carb Day. Unfortunately, signing a band is not as simple as everyone thinks it'd be, and especially this year as bands are gathering together, 2 or 3 bands at a time, going out on these shed tours. When somebody does that kind of tour, the promoter and those Live Nations, who obviously are a priority for these bands because they get to do 20-plus shows around the country through like a Live Nation, for example, they have a radius and time clause. And unfortunately, our race in Indiana at the end of May falls right in the middle of that 90-day or 120-day time clause, and certainly in the 100-mile radius clause. So it marks a lot of people out. My biggest thing is when Carb Day comes around and we announce the talent for Carb Day, I want everybody to know that the purpose of Carb Day is to party and to have fun and watch that final practice and get ready for the Indy 500. So we'll get those artists announced here in the next couple of weeks. But it's not as simple as just saying, hey, we're going to go get X, Y, and Z band.
Carb Day schedule, Indy Lights, pit stop competition, are those on the schedule? I kind of forget where we're at with that.
Yeah, pit stop competition is on the schedule. Indy Lights is not. Indy Lights will be on the schedule for the Grand Prix weekend at the beginning of the month of May, but the pit stop competition and the music, and it will have 2 hours of on-track practice for Carb Day for IndyCar. So it's everything except for the Freedom 100. And a couple of years ago, we just kind of put a pause on the Freedom 100 right now. I don't know what that means in long-term future. Roger and the IndyCar folks have just taken back over the Indy Lights program, and as they try to continue to build that up, I think we'll continue to review that as we go forward. But right now, it is not on the schedule and won't be on the schedule for this year.
He's the president of the Speedway. Doug Boles is with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Doug, I feel like the last time I've seen you publicly, it was on my TV watching you snowboard or ski, I don't even know what you call it, with Dave Calabro around the oval. And then, unfortunately, probably for you, was during the NASCAR race with the broom. Any update NASCAR-wise, road course, with where things stand there and how that, if there are any changes, will you guys be making those for that?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make some changes with the curbs. The bummer is those curbs have been there since really the early part of 2014 when we started running Indy cars on the road course and never have had an issue. But just the way those Cup cars ran and the splitters, those cars were right on the ground, and one of those splitters early on in that race got lodged underneath it, and then that just started the whole process of pulling that curb up. So we'll have the racetrack will basically be the same layout. We're going to work on a curb solution that we don't think will come apart. Charlotte had some temporary curbs too that they thought were going to be indestructible, and we didn't choose to use those. And then after our deal happened, we thought maybe we should have. And then when Charlotte had their oval race in the fall, theirs blew up too. So we're going to do something that's a little more permanent and make it a little bit easier. Our curbing is designed to go in and come out for a lot of reasons. It gives us more flexibility on the race car or on the racetrack. And with IndyCar and even sports car, you didn't have the challenges of those huge NASCAR cars, especially as the splitters were right on the ground. So we'll make a change to that racetrack location there at the chicane, and we should be in good shape. But we'll start working on that here as soon as the thaw comes.
Doug, I have a question for you that admittedly I assume is a valid question. Obviously I'm fortunate and blessed and privileged enough to be working at the race, so sometimes I lose sight of from the fan perspective, and I hate saying that, but that's the reality of it. So I'm going to read exactly what somebody asked me to ask you, okay? Jake, yes, can you please ask Doug why they no longer allow RV camping inside the track for the Grand Prix in May? I don't know if that is something that did happen and has been changed, but I wanted to field it to you.
Yeah, so we never used to allow camping at all in the infield other than the glamping, or you had to sort of be a driver owner and be in the driver owner lot. And one of the things that makes road course racing special, especially if you go to Mid-Ohio or Road America, someplace like that, is the camping, and the camping right up next to and inside the racetrack. And so we did do about 120 spots for several years inside for the Grand Prix itself. And then the last couple of years we've taken that away. I'm not certain that we will take that away forever. I'd love to have it back because it is an important element. What it does do, though, is it does complicate operationally things, and it makes it a little bit more challenging for us to manage through that weekend. My hope is that as we continue to move forward, we'll get that back on track. People talking about us doing a sports car race. One of the things that would make a sports car race here successful, I think, is allowing people to camp inside. So it's not off the table. We've just taken it off right now so that we can just focus on the core of getting that race weekend pulled together and operationally. But I would see that camping opportunity coming back online here in the next year or two.
Okay, one other question from a listener, Doug. Will bronze badges be available this year regardless of vaccination status?
Bronze badges are available right now regardless of vaccination status. At this point in time, IndyCar doesn't have any restrictions related to what the access that they have. A lot of that was driven by the fact NASCAR and IndyCar both trying to protect their drivers and keep them from being exposed, sort of being in the bubble, if you will. So right now, there are no plans on any vaccination status for those bronze badge holders, and for those folks that don't have them, they're still on sale, and that's one of the best values I think we have here. And it tends to be our hardest core fan, too. So last year was a challenge because that's an important part of the experience for a lot of folks.
Okay, and then lastly, question from me, Doug. Where do we stand on Guns N' Roses?
As we talked about music, one of the biggest challenges for us is trying to find a band, and at the same time, we want to keep Carb Day a reasonable priced ticket, and so your music is included with the on-track piece, and the most important thing we do that day is the on-track piece. And in order to get somebody like Guns N' Roses, who is in the $3 million range, to bring them here would really require us to start thinking about how do you increase a Carb Day ticket price to almost be the same price as what you would expect for the race itself. So as we select these bands, it's important to me that we are able to keep the price down so that people can still enjoy that same day. So there may be a way we can have a little bit of fun Guns N' Roses related in the future, but it's probably not going to be Guns N' Roses themselves.
Doug, admittedly, this is probably more for my own curiosity, but I've always been interested in this, and I'm sure the Nashville race probably piqued some of that for me last year. Discussions on involving the oval along with a street race. Like, is that possible? I don't, downtown speedway, I don't even know if you could get all the way downtown Indianapolis. It's probably a stupid question, but like, have you guys ever had debates about that?
About whether or not we'd have a street race in Indianapolis?
Yeah, and I guess could you involve the track as well?
Boy, that'd be a challenge. It would be really interesting if somehow how you could do that. We really haven't had that conversation. One of the great things about the facility is we're flexible enough that we can do both. So for us, we haven't had that conversation, and the expense of a street race is in the tens of millions of dollars, especially your first year when you start figuring out the businesses you have to take care of when you close them down or you limit the number of people that can get in, all the concrete barriers, the resurfacing, all the things that really have to go into place to put a street race together. That's why Nashville worked pretty well, because it was a lot of it was a parking lot, right? So they didn't have to close down full-on streets, and St. Pete works pretty well because part of it's an airport. But when you really get into a proper street race, it becomes a significant financial and logistical challenge.
Doug, of the dignitaries that you have met, Doug Boles is our guest on the Payless Liquors guest line, the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Since you have been in that capacity, or maybe even when you were in it, like from a team ownership standpoint, but of the dignitaries that have nothing to do with the sport of racing that you have met or hosted at the Speedway, which one would people be excited to know was genuinely like the most awed and awestruck and excited about the Speedway and had a reverence for it?
Oh, that's a great question, because there have been so many, and honestly, in my time here, I really haven't had an experience with somebody that wasn't really grateful and open-minded and enjoyed the experience. We've heard in the past, as long as we've been around, people that have come in and just really not enjoyed it, struggled with it, just weren't fan-friendly. But most people, even when we had like Matt Damon and Christian Bale, and you think, okay, here are these two iconic superstars who are going to want to be secluded and not involved, and both of them completely just embraced the whole experience. So that was really fun. Somebody like Dale Earnhardt Jr., who obviously loves racing, for him to come in and embrace the experience in a way that's really open-minded for somebody to spend his entire life in NASCAR. So I guess I'd say most of them have just really enjoyed it, and there's not been somebody really in my mind that's been difficult.
Doug, I lied. Last one from me. And again, this is a very selfish question. Any plans for changes to the golf course at all? I mean, and maybe it's more of a Roger question, but any plans there to, I don't know, get rid of it, keep it, make improvements to it? I mean, it's already a great golf course, but anything on that front?
It's pretty funny you asked that. So when Roger first bought the Speedway, and we were focused on 2020, then the pandemic hit, and Roger said, let's just use this time while fans aren't here and we don't have the challenge of events, let's really invest in the fan experience. So that's when all the restrooms got upgraded and all the video boards, and we stayed focused on that really all the way through almost into September of 2020. And when that ended, Roger was through one day and he said, well, let's pay attention to the golf course right now. I would guess he's 7 figures in terms of the investment into the golf course right now, so that would tell you that it isn't going away. I mean, we did 11 miles of new golf cart paths, all kinds of things that he's continuing to do. We're working on some new electronic upgrades to it. So that is something that I think Roger's taken an awful lot of pride in, the fact that it is such a great golf course, and we want the customers who come out and play to have a great time and continue to keep it as a public course so that anybody can play.
Gotcha. All right, 100 days out from the 2022 Indianapolis 500 Snake Pit announcement. Anything else on the horizon announcement-wise we should be keeping our eyes out for?
Well, hopefully we'll get Carb Day announced here in the next couple of weeks. That's obviously a really important piece for folks. And then we just get into that cadence of, we still have to show Elio his face on the board, so as he can see what it looks like to have his face there the fourth time. And, a lot of those things that you expect as you lead into into the Indy 500. Tonight on IMS.com, an opportunity for everybody to see our new ad campaign that's going to feature Elio humming David Letterman's voice, hearing James Melton, who sang the first Back Home Again in Indiana, all the way up through Jim Neighbors and Jim Cornelius, and a really, really cool ad campaign with the theme of Back Home Again, and it's just really fitting because we get to welcome everybody back home again here on May 29th.
Love it. Doug, your passion second to none. Always appreciate your candor when you come on the shows with us as well. So thank you for the time, and good luck here over the next few months.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for all you guys are doing to keep us, all us sports fans, up to date with everything. It's going to be an interesting year with respect to football and basketball and all the things we care about, so keep doing great work.
You bet. Thank you, Doug. That's Doug Boles, the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are up against it. It is pop quiz time coming up next. So Freebie Friday, Jiffy Lube prize pack to anybody, win or lose here. Jake, a little combination, right? Pop quiz to end the week with the substitute teachers, you and I?
That is correct. I came up with 2, you came up with 3.
317-239-1070. Freebie Friday for the pop quiz.
Hey Indy, one big winners in college hoops and the NBA. Catch me, Joe Wiz, host of the Fein Line, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on The Fan.
If you're late to the party, shame on you. Download our app by searching 107.5 The Fan in the App Store or Google Play Store. In the now content at your fingertips.
Tired of your old car? Come into Auto Sales and Service and try one of theirs. Bad credit? No worries. Everyone gets approved. Visit their 2 locations, Auto Sales and Service.
Even though it's cold outside, now is the time to plan your backyard project. Mark Rowland with Indy Decorative Concrete here. Learn the advantages of our stamped concrete patios. Endless design options, low maintenance, structurally superior, typically lower cost than wood decks or pavers, all backed by the best service and best warranty in town. Visit our showroom on Brookville Road or check us out at indydecorativeconcrete.com.
You're back. It's always hunting season at the 24th Annual Indiana Deer, Turkey, and Waterfowl Expo. February 24th through the 27th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. It's the largest hunting expo in the Midwest, displaying the latest hunting, archery, and waterfowl gear. Hunting outfitters from around the globe. Learn from the pros at the Big Time Hunting Seminar Series. Get your deer scored and see the Hoosier Record Book Hall of Fame. And it's all happening during the Ford 67th Annual Indianapolis Boat Sport and Travel Show. Buy tickets online at IndySportsShow.com. Another Renfro production.
When it comes to Twin Peaks beverages, they take things pretty seriously, which is why over the last few months they've been innovating cocktails for their elevated drink menu that has something to offer everyone. Get ready for all new additions like Pink Whitney Pink Lemonade Vodka by the Spitting Chicklets crew, the Watermelon Jolly Rancher featuring Watermelon Red Bull, or the Margarita on The Rock, made with Terramata Silver, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's premium tequila. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Terry Stacy here with your American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning Race Day forecast, brought to you by Family Heating and Air. Nobody cares for you like family. Racing season is here. I'm so excited. The Daytona 500 is Sunday, always a sign that spring is around the corner. Kyle Larson's on the pole, and the forecast for Sunday in Daytona couldn't be better. Partly sunny and a high of 73 at the green flag. This is your American Standard Race Day forecast from Family Heating and Air, your local independent American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning dealer.
Hey, it's JMV, and fellas, need an annual health exam for work, or you just want to start the year prioritizing your health? I recommend Low T Center to get your complete health assessment, where they check all your levels. It's typically completely covered by most health insurance, and if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 to get full labs and an office visit with their provider. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your visit online now. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
The Ride with JMV.
Former NFL wide receiver and ESPN analyst Keyshawn Johnson. Hey, Keyshawn, what do you think the ceiling is on Michael Pittman Jr. of the Colts?
I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber, headed in the Pro Bowl caliber way. I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive at times, a little more athletic than what I've seen. And next time I talk to him, I'm going to let him know those things. He could be a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver for them, but he's young. He needs to speed the game up.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 till 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Have you studied? Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz with Kevin and Query. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
Now, I think that the number for the caller that we're going to go with is fairly easy here, right, Kevin? Or do you want to pick?
No.
Should we pick by number or by name?
Well, I guess I'm not following the whole number thing while it's...
Well, I mean, IUPUI got their third win last night.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, let's...
Or we could just go by name.
Well, I'm seeing Kevin on the call list, so I'm a little biased.
Okay, so you're going with Kevin.
Let's do it. Josh, who we got? It is Kevin?
It is Kevin.
Kevin, good Friday morning.
This is Kevin. How are you?
Kevin, which way? Are you turning left or right?
I'm turning left.
Okay, we need you to pull over so your hand's free so that we have your undivided attention for the safety of all drivers since the roads are slick. Is that okay, Kevin? You sound like a nice guy.
You know it, man. This is what I do. I drive around and look at cars.
Kevin, I got pulled over for not being hands-free a few months ago, so hopefully you do not fall in the same boat. How are the roads? I didn't think they were too bad this morning.
Yeah, they're not too bad. I'm up here in Hamilton County, so some of the country roads are a little iced over and turning into water, but it's not too bad.
Kevin, you sound like a fun fellow. Have you called the program before?
I have called once before,
okay.
Yes.
Can we play a little segment, though, called Get to Reno Your Listener? We've had wild success with this, and in meetings they tell us it's important. Can we do that with you real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Kevin, if you don't mind me asking, who was President of the United States the year you were born?
That's a good one.
For the record, that's not the first trivia question.
I think I'd struggle with that question, too.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. I was just really big on the 80s. I loved Reagan.
What year were you born?
76.
76. What month were you born?
April.
1976, by the way, was the election of 76 is when Jimmy Carter was elected over Gerald Ford, but Gerald Ford would have been president when you were born.
Am I the first Bush? 89?
Well, when were you born? When's your birthday?
September.
Yes. Kevin, your first sports poster on the wall when you were a kid was who?
The Monsters of the Midway.
Ooh, okay. Fair enough. Also, Kevin, did you grow up in Indiana or are you a Chicagoan?
I was born and raised in Chicago. I moved to Indy in 2007.
Okay, and what was her name that brought you here?
It was no name. It was a job.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. And what sort of work do you do?
I write estimates on cars.
Nice. All right. Well, Kevin, we appreciate you participating and get to know your listener. Would you like to have myself, that would be Jake, or Kevin lead you off on the questions here?
I got one for him too, Kevin. If you don't mind me butting in here, do you like the name, the first name?
Absolutely.
Yeah, same. I've always liked it.
But I usually go by my nickname though.
Oh, what's that?
Wrench.
Ooh.
Wrench.
Can we ask why, or should we be nervous?
Just something that people in college called me when I played football, and I was the fullback, and I just wrenched around in the trenches and knocked people down.
Now, I love everything about this.
Where did
Wrench
you play?
It is. Screw Kevin. It's Wrench.
Kevin, where did you play college football?
McMurray in Jacksonville, Illinois.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
Wrench. Question number 1, Jake. Throw it at Wrench. Can you imagine 3rd and 1 meeting Wrench in the hole? You don't stand a chance.
Okay.
Yeah, chains are moving.
Wrench, who did IUPUI beat last night for their 3rd victory of the season in college basketball?
Is it multiple choice?
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a former Colts player. Is it A, Bob Sanders, C, Kelvin Hayden, D, Rob Morris, or E, Dwight Freeney?
Dwight Freeney.
Now, wait a minute. Now, Wrench, hold on.
Wrench.
Hang on.
Wrench, were you
you think there's a college
GPA up there?
Do you think there's a college called Dwight Freeney that played last night, or do you think maybe there's a college called Robert Morris that played last night?
There's definitely a college Robert Morris, yes.
Okay.
All right, Robert Morris it is. Freebie Friday. Holy shit, boy. All right.
Did you lead with the helmet a lot when you were bursting into the whole Wrench? Okay, question number 2. The only NFL franchise to never play overseas in the NFL's new initiative for overseas games, the only team that they have not sent yet overseas, A, the Texans, B, the Falcons, C, the Packers, or D, the Raiders?
I would say the Raiders.
Okay.
I do think that's a tough question.
It is.
Last pacer to win the dunk contest in the NBA, Wrench. A. Glenn Robinson. B. Fred Jones. C. Paul George. D. Terrence Stansberry.
Glenn Robinson.
Nice.
Okay. Question number 3 for you, Wrench.
Four.
Oh, I'm sorry. Question number 4. Sorry. We're going in reverse order. I got all screwed up. Okay, Wrench, there are 4 quarterbacks who have lost their first Super Bowl, like obviously Joe Burrow just did. But 4 of those quarterbacks that lost their first Super Bowl later came back and won another Super Bowl. Who was the most recent to accomplish that feat? A. Roger Staubach, B. John Elway, C. Ben Roethlisberger, or D. Tom Brady?
I'm going to say Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay, and then to close things out, Joe Burrow lost his first Super Bowl, and he may become the 16th straight QB to lose their first Super Bowl but never return. Who was the last to lose their first but later return as a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl? Matt Hasselbeck, John Elway, Jim Kelly, Mark Rippon.
Jim Kelly?
Nice.
Say it with conviction, Wrench. Very nice. Very nice.
By the way, Wrench, do you consider the monsters of the Midway like the Dick Butkus era defensive Bears or the 85 Bears?
85 Bears was the best defense ever.
Understood, but which one were the monsters of the Midway?
85.
I thought monsters of the Midway was like the Dick Butkus era. I could be totally wrong in that.
No, the monsters of the Midway was the 80s with Buddy Ryan, and I believe Dick Butkus, his defense struggled. They weren't very good. They didn't have a very good record.
Well, no, I know that, but I thought, like I said, I could be wrong. I know that Buddy Ryan was the 46 defense. But.
Wrench, did you have a horse collar when you played?
No, I wore, you mean like a...
Cowboy collar?
I did for a while because my brother wore it, but then I stopped wearing it.
Did you guys run the wishbone?
No, we ran the run and shoot.
Oh, boy.
By the way, Monsters of the Midway, originally the 1940-41 Chicago Bear defense. It was revived with the 85 Chicago Bears. So we are both...
Oh.
Although Butkus was not 40 and 41, but still.
Wrench, stay on the line for Freebie Friday. FYI, okay?
Cool.
IUPUI last night did get a road win over Robert Morris.
Yeah, not Dwight Freeney. Robert Morris there. What do we say, Colonials? Is that right?
They were supposed to play Bob Sanders, but unfortunately nobody was healthy, so they did not play that.
COVID protocol, right?
Oh, boy. Bob Sanders could have been a college. I thought that was a decent college, you know?
Yeah, Robert Sanders University.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only one NFL franchise has never played an international game. Wrench went with the Raiders. Sounds like a former Raider, Wrench. The correct answer, Jake?
At the Packers.
You blew it! I thought Texans might have got the guess there.
They ought to send the Packers over there to Munich, though. Get some brats there. Can you imagine the Packer fans at Oktoberfest in Munich? Good Lord.
Got it. No chance Aaron Rodgers will want to leave.
Terrence Stansberry was the first pacer, and although I shouldn't say that because Darnell Hillman might have done it in the NBA as well. He certainly did it in the ABA. But the last pacer to win the dunk contest was Glenn Robinson III, right?
Correct, yeah. 2017, Fred Jones a winner as well. We'll give you the dunk contest participants here in a second. It's not a lot of household names, Jake.
4 quarterbacks that have lost their first Super Bowl but later come back to avenge it by winning in another start. Len Dawson, Bob Greasy, Roger Staubach, and the most recent was John Elway. He said Ben Roethlisberger. And then lastly, the one about Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he got that right.
He did.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly is the last one to lose his first, but yet still make it back to the Super Bowl.
All right, we come back, and again, thank you, Wrench, Kevin Wrench. What do you think his last name is?
That's a good question.
Kevin Wrench.
DeWalt?
God, yeah.
Just a guess.
It is a 1-year anniversary of something that could have a close to it here in a few weeks. We'll see if that happens. We'll touch on that. And NBA All-Star Weekend, your dunk contest and 3-point contest participants. We'll hit on that to close things out. Kevin and Query on a Friday.
Wealth isn't simply about money. It's more than just the numbers in your portfolio or your bank account. Wealth is all the everyday things that money enables you to do, the goals you're after, things you want to accomplish, and the life you want to lead. So how do you get there? Tune in this weekend for Everyday Wealth with Soledad O'Brien and Gene Chatsky, presented by Edelman Financial Engines. Each week, award-winning journalist Soledad O'Brien and personal finance expert Gene Chatsky will explore how our financial decisions shape our everyday lives. They'll be joined by Edelman Financial Engine's wealth planners and other guests to demystify challenges like tax-efficient investing, retirement planning, and more. They'll share knowledge and tools to manage your finances today and build wealth for tomorrow. Join the conversation. Everyday Wealth airs each weekend and will be available on major podcast platforms. For airtimes, visit everydaywealth.com.
Jake Query here. Recently I returned to college to finish my degree, and I encourage you to join me. Whether you're like me and life simply got in the way, or you never went to college at all, Indiana offers financial assistance for those ready to move forward. If I can do it, I know you can too. If you're looking for a better job or doing it for your family, Indiana has grants to pay for over 150 certificates in high-wage industries. You're sure to find a tuition-free option that fits you. To apply, visit nextleveljobs.org today. Sponsored by the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. That's nextleveljobs.org.
It's Tuesday, 2/22/22, and your Indiana Pacers want to help celebrate. Starting on February 22nd, fans can purchase 2 select balcony tickets for only $22. Selected between 2 games. See the Pacers battle the Memphis Grizzlies on March 15th or the Denver Nuggets on March 30th.
A 40-point night for Miles Turner.
Get your special Tuesday tickets at pacers.com/TWO.
Hoops are happening, and college basketball's biggest stage is right around the corner over on PropSwap. Every season, prop swappers make thousands of dollars by simply buying and selling college basketball teams. Well, now is the time to find those Cinderellas where the odds are still high. So get to your local sportsbook, buy a handful of tickets, and list them on PropSwap. Remember, only one team needs to make a run, and that ticket will pay for the rest. You can buy and sell tickets over on PropSwap at any point during a game, tournament, season. Dark horses happen every year, so download the free PropSwap app today. Remember, PropSwap is where America buys and sells sports bets. If you're looking for better odds than what your sportsbook is offering, look no further. PropSwap is your answer. There's never been a better time to join. Use promo code FREE100 to receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. To find the best odds, join the real sports bettors and download the free PropSwap app today.
Big Red Liquors is celebrating 50 years in business and big sales all year, kicking off with the February Super Sale, 20% off 3 bottles of wine or spirits mix and match. Through February, 20% off 3 bottles, wine and spirits mix and match, only at Big Red Liquors.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. You're listening to Kevin and Query on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Friday here on Kevin and Query. We're closing things out. Boy, it's turned into a beautiful looking morning outside.
It's nice. It's a little chilly. Let's see here. We're up to 21.
I was going to say, I can't imagine it's
I kid you not.
too warm.
Kevin, at the beginning of the week when I said, hey, listen, this might be the last time that we come into work for a while in sub-freezing temperatures. I kid you not, the forecast at that point was like 52, like every day.
You've lived here long enough, though, to know.
I know. It's not supposed. I mean, it's supposed to be basically high of 30 today.
From the combine in a few weeks, and it'll be below freezing. Then, 1 year ago today, Jake, a memory here locally. Any guesses?
I think I figured this out, but I have a feeling this has the potential to be remembered in the same breath in which we remembered the Trent Richardson trade.
Oh boy.
Right?
Which is worse? If Carson Wentz is cut in 2 weeks, which is worse?
Far and away Carson Wentz, and I'll tell you why. The Trent Richardson trade, I actually blame on Jim Irsay. Because when Vic Ballard got hurt, Irsay immediately took to Twitter and was tweeting out to anybody that would listen, Griggs is wheeling and dealing. Griggs has got the answers. He's going to find a running back. And I think personally I think Cleveland knew they saw something in Trent Richardson that just wasn't there, but he rushed for close to 800 yards as a rookie. And it was later confirmed that Cleveland was the one that initiated contact. I think Cleveland called Ryan Grigson and said, listen, your owner is telling anybody that'll listen that you've got to make a trade. You don't have a choice here, man. He is expecting a home run delivery. We got a guy that was the third pick in the draft and only has a year under his belt. What do you say? And
I think Grigson wanted to do it too. I do think he wanted to do it. But what I'm saying is, would Cleveland have immediately reached out and facilitated that deal had Jim Irsay not been so vociferous about Indianapolis's desire to get a running back? I thought the Griggs wheeling and dealing came from Ryan Grigson initial interest in Trent Richardson. Therefore, Irsay was letting fans know that he was trying to make a move.
Griggs' wheeling and dealing actually was during the free agency period. It's when he sent that out. But the trade winds are blowing.
Yeah, I think we're landing after the talk started, though.
No.
You really think that was? I thought that was like
Guaranteed
10 minutes before the trade was announced.
He as soon as Vic Ballard got hurt, Irsay was openly saying, don't worry, settle down, Colts fans. We're going to get this taken care of. We're going to go out and we are going to get a running back. And then Cleveland absolutely facilitated that contact.
1 year.
And yes, you are correct. Ryan Grigson, by his own admission, I'll give Grigson this. Grigson has said, look, that's an area where I was wrong. I thought he could still play.
1 year anniversary of Carson Wentz being traded to the Colts. First and third rounder. Ended up being a first, I should clarify. Third rounder this past year, 2020. One draft, and then the first rounder here in 2022. Like we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, Jake, it's not like a hard deadline with Wentz, really, to make a decision until you get into free agency, but with the combine starting in a little bit over a week, you would think word is going to leak. If the Colts don't make a decision, word will leak here, you would think, around the combine, if the Colts are indeed looking into other quarterback options.
One would think, yes. If Carson Wentz, if they move on from him, it's a disastrous look, quite frankly. And I know that Chris Ballard had the rug pulled out from underneath him by Andrew Luck, whatever. Okay, but look, you've had enough time now. And if you don't go with Carson Wentz, man, you're really in a pickle here. That sets them back. That disastrous decision sets them back like 3 years. Trent Richardson, by the way, was traded for a number one. Do you know who that number one became?
Went to Cleveland?
Yep.
Baker?
Nope.
I don't. They use it. No, I don't.
Johnny Manziel.
Oh, I knew it was some quarterback.
Yeah. But
yeah, Baker's way too young.
If you move on from Carson Wentz, again, it's like we talked about yesterday with Zach Kiefer, Kevin. What is the answer? Where do you go from there?
Yeah, and that's easily the hardest to answer of all of that. For those that want to bet on the NBA dunk contest, Obi Toppin, Jalen Green, Cole Anthony, and Juan Toscano Anderson. Do you know where Juan plays?
Golden State.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yes, you do.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Look at my memory. I think we said that the other day. Toppin's going to win the dunk contest.
The three-point contest has got a lot of big names in it. Fred VanVleet, Desmond Bane, Luke Kennard, Zach LaVine, CJ McCollum, Karl Anthony Towns, Trae Young, Patty Mills. The Desmond Bane story is pretty wild, Jake. Went from Richmond, went to Seton Catholic over there, went to TCU. I mean, it's a bit Tyrese Halliburton-like, and I don't know if you've watched much of Memphis this year. They're really exciting to watch, really good, and Bane's a huge part of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, to answer your question. Listen, in the NBA, I think it all the time when I go to games, Kevin. I sit there and I watch, and I'm like, if you can play, they're going to find you. It's amazing. If you can play, they're going to find. Look at Terry Taylor for the Pacers and the way he's playing. He's a guy that they went from basically a roster fill to, wait a minute, like, are we going to have to create a spot for this guy? Quite frankly?
Yeah, Terry Taylor's been. But again, is Terry Taylor doing this on a 30-win team?
Well,
yeah.
Like
but he's fun to watch.
He is.
Desmond Bane's the perfect example of a guy who fell in the draft just because of how old he was.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Chris Duarte a little bit. I mean, Duarte didn't fall as much as Desmond Bane did, but Memphis has got several Indiana ties. They are a fun team to watch, and John Moran is worth the price of admission there. All right, Jake, have a great weekend. You said pretty quiet for you?
Yep, nothing big planned. Hanging around and getting ready, I guess, to be on the road next weekend.
I was going to say, same here, and you'll be in much warmer weather next Friday. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday here on The Fan.
Put on your helmet. It's about to get real.
I'll say it. This might be the Carson Wentz experiment, the worst move the Colts have ever made. Name me a word. You guys get mad about Todd Harriman. You guys are mad about Andre Johnson. This is the worst move.